Okay, Tammy's friend is going to be on the stand.
Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Got her. See, try to speak directly to them. All right, I'll note that Ms. Gilbert's now been placed under oath. Before we begin with testimony, I just want to inquire, have you watched any of this trial on either the live stream or here in person at all?
No,
Okay, have you talked to anybody else about any testimony they've given in trial?
no.
Okay, thank you for letting the court know that. Ms. Blake, you can inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Alice Gilbert, ALICEGILBERT.
And Miss Gilbert, do you know an individual named Chad Daybell?
I do.
How do you know him?
He was my neighbor, and when we moved into the neighborhood, we got to know him through our community and our ward.
Did you also know Tammy or Tamara Daybell?
I do.
And did you know her the same way?
Yes,
And what did you refer to her as, Tammy or Tamara?
I called her Tammy.
And when you moved into the neighborhood, do you recall approximately when that would have been?
It was March of 2017.
And were the Daybells already living there?
Yes,
Did you get to know Tammy or Chad? Did you get to know one of them better than the other one?
Tammy. I got to know Tammy better.
And how did you end up getting to know Tammy?
We worked in the same church calling together. And so I got to know her through that church calling,
And when you say church calling, what church is that associated with?
the LDS church.
And what callings did the two of you hold where you worked closely?
I was the Relief Society president, and she was my first counselor.
How often do you think you saw Tammy?
We met once a week and on Sundays.
And did that seeing each other twice a week continue for an extended period of time?
Until her death.
And do you recall when the two of you were given the callings?
October of 2018.
So for about a year, you would see Tammy about twice a week.
Yes.
Did you get to know Tammy pretty well?
I thought so. I thought we did.
And can you describe Tammy a little bit, your relationship with her? Let me back up. Can you describe a little bit about what Tammy was like?
Yes. She was great to work with. She was organized when we had our meetings. She could do worked on the computer. So when we had to change anything, she could do it in a flash. She did all the computer work. When we organized activities, we valued her opinion and was grateful to have her input on things. And she would say, keep it simple, keep our activities simple. And we did, and that helped a lot. She had a lot of empathy for some of the women who were struggling in the ward, and she would relate those things to us in our meetings. She also had a very good wit with her.
Did you have occasions to observe Chad and Tammy together?
I did mostly at church, and they seemed great at church. You know, it was just normal. It was, you know, and we had activities. He did come and help set up some chairs for activities, and so that seemed normal, and I really didn't think much of it.
At some point in time, did you feel like their interactions changed?
A little bit, yes. In 2019, it just seemed distant. It just seemed a bit distant between the two.
Did
But I just noticed them at church.
Did Tammy ever talk to you about her marriage?
She didn't. I think the only thing she did mention was that sometimes the finances were a little strained, but she didn't mention anything else.
When you observed Tammy, did you ever notice her appear to slow down?
No,
Did you ever notice any change in her activity level prior to her death?
no,
Did she ever complain to you about any health issues?
no,
Did you ever observe Tammy have any shaking fits?
no,
Did you ever observe Tammy faint?
no.
How did you learn about Tammy's death?
On the morning of the 19th, I received a phone call from Emma, and she was
Objection, Judge. This is going to call for some hearsay.
Oh, Jesus.
It's eliciting hearsay on that part, so that's sustained.
And just to clarify, when you say on the 19th, is that October 19th of 2019?
Yes,
And you indicated that Emma had phoned you. How did Emma seem when you talked to her?
she was sobbing.
And after that, based on that phone call, without saying what Emma said, did you learn anything in relation to Tammy?
That she had passed away.
Objection, Judge. Calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
At some point, did someone else take the phone?
Chad, he took the phone.
And what did Chad tell you?
He asked me not to tell anybody for about an hour that she had passed away. And I said, well, I need to tell the bishop. And he said, no, don't tell the bishop. And I knew that the bishop was he was going to work. And so I called him anyway and informed him.
And what you called to inform him was of Tammy's death?
Yes,
Were you surprised to hear of her passing?
yes.
And why were you surprised?
I had just talked to her on Wednesday and she was fine. She was excited. She had just gotten a new grandbaby. We had talked about Mark and his mission, and she had told us experiences of his mission, and she was excited with things.
On October 19th, after learning of her death, at some point, did you end up going to the Daybell residence?
Yes, my husband and I went over at about 8:30 in the morning, and Chad answered the door, and he gave us a hug, and we went in, and all the children, except for Mark and their spouses, were sitting there in the living room. They were stunned. The children were stunned. They could hardly speak and crying.
Did you end up making any observations of Chad when you arrived?
Yes, when I asked him what happened, and he said that Tammy vomited at midnight at 2 a.m. and that her legs were hanging over the bed and that she'd fallen out of bed. He also said they think, how did I say this? That they think she died of an embolism.
And Chad provided all this information the morning of her death.
Yes.
How did Chad appear to you?
Um, he wasn't as upset as the children. He had, was ready to tell us, and he wasn't as devastated as the children were.
And you indicated you'd just seen her the Wednesday before her death.
Yeah.
Did she complain to you at all that day of any health issues?
No, and I knew she was taking clogging lessons when we would have activity night.
Judge, I'm gonna object at this point, just going into a narrative.
You can answer.
I can answer. We had activity nights, which started at like, I think 6:30. She would leave early, maybe 8 o'clock, because she was going to a clogging class. And so in my mind, I'm thinking I'm going home to bed at 8 o'clock. She was going to a clogging class. So I admired her for doing that.
On Wednesday, when you saw her, did Tammy have a cough that you noticed?
No,
Did she have any kind of a coughing fit around that time?
I didn't notice any.
After arriving at the Daybell residence, did you do something else that morning?
Yes, we had asked if they had breakfast and they hadn't. So my husband and I said, well, we'll go get you breakfast. And as we stood up to go, Chad told us that her funeral was going to be on Tuesday and a memorial on Wednesday. And I was surprised and I said, well, did you plan this? And he said, no, but I was surprised that fast that he could tell me that.
And when you ask if he planned it, why did you ask that?
Because I know what it takes to plan a funeral with a ward and to organize the church and have the ladies in the ward provide the meal. And you need to ask the sisters to volunteer to provide meals. And it takes time. All of it takes time. So I was really surprised. But then he said her funeral was in Springville. That also surprised me because we were there in Idaho.
And do you recall what day of the week October 19th was?
Saturday,
And the funeral was going to be on the
Tuesday.
And did Chad respond when you asked if he had already planned the funeral or if he and Tammy had talked about it before?
He said no, but I felt like it had been planned.
Did you end up attending the funeral?
Yes. I needed to see her. So my husband and I went to the funeral in Springfield. And I needed to see her in the casket. And she looked nice in the casket.
Did you ever talk to Chad about why he held the funeral in Springville?
I didn't. I just assumed it was because they lived there before. So I didn't ask.
When you were at the funeral, do you recall making any observations of Chad?
When we viewed her before the funeral, and it was just him standing by the casket. It didn't seem really mournful with him. I said, oh, she looks good. And he said, yes, she does. And we didn't cry, we didn't, it didn't seem mournful. And then we went into the chapel to sit for the funeral, and I sat by, and our bishop had driven down, so we sat with him.
During the funeral, do you recall if Chad spoke?
Yes, all the children spoke, and he spoke last. I was impressed with the children's talks that fast. They did a nice job to their mother. I was surprised because it takes a day to drive. So to go funeral on Tuesday, they would have driven Monday. They did the children did a nice job. And Chad spoke last. I was surprised because most spouses are too devastated to speak. And so I was surprised that he spoke at her funeral, and it was last. And it was like a church talk. The other talks were more loving tributes to their mother. His was more church talk.
And do you recall if there was a memorial service held?
It was held the next day in Idaho, but I did not attend because I had just been to her funeral.
Did you end up having a role or playing a part in taking a meal to Chad's family?
Yes, so our presidency and the bishopric provided a meal for them after the memorial, and so we took it over to them after, and we had to put it down for them to eat, and the kids had started to eat. And Chad told us that he was moving out, that he couldn't be there, and that he was going to move to Rexburg to a condo. And we asked him, like, do you need help or anything? He said no, that his friend had a condo for him, that he wasn't there very often, so that he told him he could stay there.
And you said do you recall, did Chad refer to the friend as a he?
In I took it as that, and I'm thinking he said because he said he wasn't there very often, and so he could stay there.
So Tammy's pronounced dead on Saturday, correct? And by the following Wednesday, Chad's got plans to move out of the house.
Yes.
Do you recall anything else that morning standing out to you as far as what Chad told his kids?
He had told his kids to go through Tammy's things as after he told us he was moving out, and that surprised me too. That's maybe I'm more sentimental, but it just seemed fast. And they kind of took it in stride, and I think they did do that.
In the time just after Tammy's death, did you have an opportunity to observe any of the Daybell children? So Chad and Tammy's children.
I went and saw Emma on Friday, and she was sobbing. She's really struggling, and she was getting really sick. She lost a lot of weight. We had organized meals for her. I know the school district was taking meals into her and Garth. She was struggling. She told me she missed
Judge,
her mother.
objection,
Grounds?
hearsay.
Sustained.
Did Emma appear to be struggling to you?
Yes,
Did Garth appear to be struggling as well?
yes.
And on Friday, to the best of your knowledge, had Chad moved out of the residence?
Yes. I think he moved after the memorial.
So you visited with Garth and Emma just less than a week after their
On
mother's passing.
Friday. Yeah.
Was Chad there when you went to visit him?
No.
And when you say the house you went to, what house was Emma staying in at that time? Do you recall?
Yeah, she lived Keeney Corner from Chad's house.
And do you know what house Garth was staying in?
And Garth was living in Chad's house.
At some point, did you end up reaching out to Chad?
Yeah, so we thought we would call and see how he was doing, and I think it was Saturday, the 26th of October. We called him to see if we could come and visit with him, and he said no, that he would come to our place. So he came on the 26th. He came over to our place. I think it was more toward the evening when he came.
And Judge, for foundation purposes, that would have been the month of what and year?
Like, do you want to clarify when that happened, please?
When you talk about the 26th, are we still in October of 2019?
Yes,
So just shortly after Tammy's passing.
yes,
And Chad indicated to you he didn't want you to come to his place, but he'd come to yours.
yeah. He said, "Oh, I'll come over to your place." So we said, "Okay."
Did you ever end up seeing where Chad was living in Rexburg?
No,
And did he in fact end up coming to your place?
he did.
And did you end up having a conversation with him at that time?
Yes, he sat at our kitchen table, and I had made cookies and thought that, we would make it nice. And he said that he found the woman he was going to marry. And we were absolutely stunned when he said that. And we asked him, well, where did you meet her? And he said, at the conference in St. George in 2018. And we asked who she was, and he wasn't going to tell us at first. And then he said, well, I'll tell you. Her name is Lori Vallow.
Had you heard the name Lori Vallow before then?
I hadn't. I was thinking, who is Lori Vallow? And then he mentioned that she had done a podcast with Melanie Gibb. And then I realized that's who that was.
Had you ever met Melanie Gibb in person?
Not then. I hadn't met her in person.
And you'd never met Lori Vallow at that point?
No.
And to the best of your recollection, this was around October 26th.
Yes.
So just 7 days after Tammy's passed away.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to hear that Chad had already found someone else to marry?
Absolutely.
At some point, did you end up meeting Lori Vallow?
Yes. While he was at our home, he said that she was in town. Would we like to meet her? We said yes. Tuesday nights, my husband and I had gone to the temple. So we were in the temple on Tuesday nights. We were waiting in a room for a meeting to begin that following Tuesday. And he tapped us on the shoulder and had us step out in the hallway. And that's where we met Lori and her niece, Melanie, and a friend. I cannot remember her name.
And that was your first time meeting Lori,
Yes,
and it was at the temple.
it was at the temple.
And Judge, could we have some foundation as to the date, time?
Your Honor, that's already been discussed.
I must have missed it, Judge.
Go ahead, Ms. Blake.
Ms. Gilbert, at some point after that, did Chad and Lori end up coming to your house?
Yes. And it was in that week, and I think it was Friday from that Tuesday. that he came over with her, and um, it was cold when they came in. I asked her if she was getting used to the cold, and she said she'd bought some warm clothes. And they sat on the couch. Um, and it was awkward.
And when you say it was awkward, did you make observations of Chad and Lori's interactions?
Yes, they were very affectionate with each other, more than I had ever seen Chad. It was very affectionate with her, and they were giggling and laughing, and it, my husband and I were embarrassed.
Had you ever seen Chad act that way with Tammy?
No,
Did you end up talking at that time to Lori about her family?
I did. I asked her if she'd been married, and she said yes, that her husband had died in December of a heart attack. I asked her if she had children, and then Chad said that she had recently had a daughter that had passed. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I said, "How many?" And she said, "Thank you." And I said, "How many children do you have?" And she um, kind of stammered and then said they were stepchildren, and I did not get a definite answer on that.
When Chad said that she'd recently lost a daughter, did Lori say anything to correct that or change it?
No,
And this would have occurred end of October, beginning of November of 2019. Is that correct?
yes.
You also talked about, you asked Lori if she was getting used to the cold. Do you recall anything about that particular October?
Yes, it was a very cold October. It was an early frost and a hard frost. So the farmers were getting their potatoes early. I used to work for an ag company, and so the importance of the potatoes not freezing. And not only that, they were helping each other to get their crops out early. So it was a cold October.
When Chad and Lori were there, did they talk to you and your husband about plans for a future together?
Yes, they had talked about getting married, but they didn't know when or where yet. They planned on taking the kids to Disneyland at Thanksgiving time.
And did Chad tell you anything about his plans to write a book?
Yes, he told us he was going to Hawaii to write a book. Um, but I didn't know they were going to live there. He just said he was planning on writing a book and going to Hawaii.
So Chad mentioned he was going to be going to Hawaii,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
And he and Lori also mentioned their plans to get married to you.
Judge, there's been some leading here.
Sustained.
And this took place in end of October, beginning of November 2019.
Yes.
When they talked about taking the kids to Disneyland, do you know which kids they were referencing?
It was Chad's children.
Did they ever mention taking any of Lori's children with them?
No, I had the impression that she was an empty nester, and I assumed the daughter was older that had passed, from a disease or cancer or something but I assumed she didn't have any other children.
Did Chad or Lori provide you any details as to how Lori's daughter died?
No, and I did not ask.
And Your Honor, I'm just looking at the time, and now may be a good time to take a break in testimony for the lunch hour.
Okay, I appreciate that, Ms. Blake. We will go ahead and take the noon lunch hour. We'll take the hour and be back on for additional testimony at 1 o'clock.
All right, please.
Oh, geez, that's another 45 minutes. Oh, jeez. No. I take too many breaks. I mean, yeah. Why? Good old preacher boy. Yeah, I've seen clips of that. Boring. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but a lot of this, we've seen in Lori's.
I thought her testimony was very, very powerful against
Okay.
him.
And Johnny
She-
Boy ain't liking it.
Well, now you got to consider this woman is the Relief Society president, and that's a pretty big deal. That's like the head of all women's activities, all of their helping, going and visiting people that are possibly new members of the church. They will go and pray with them and read scriptures and talk about things, answer questions. They will go to sick people's homes. They will bring meals to people. I mean, this is a lot to organize. She was a big deal.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
I don't know.
And
None of
and
that.
she knows all those women very well because of that. Who does what? She knows all about that. So yeah, they are getting the inner circle in the stand. They are, because these are people close to Tammy.
And look at Chad. Look at him. Did you see him grin?
Oh God, he's
What a creep.
a frog.
Ribbit.
He's a fucking frog.
Oh, Grandma. I'm going out to my kitchen just so you know. I'll be as quiet as I could be. 'Cause I made hard-boiled eggs because I need to put them in my potato salad.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
Because the ones that I boiled earlier went to hell. I hate when that happens. I do. I hate that.
What do you mean you couldn't peel them?
Nope.
I know how to fix it.
It took half the egg. So I had to start all over. Pissed me off.
Yeah.
Can't believe Chad objected to the
Pryor.
He did?
Can't
Oh,
believe Pryor objected to the cause and manner of death.
How can he object? He's not a professional. He didn't study to be a medical examiner.
How can he object to that?
Right?
Amanda needs to be up here to answer these questions. God. Amanda. Trying to have a conversation with her.
Can't believe it. We just started watching it and they already go on break. God. Oh.
I know I missed the ME stuff because I had to run to Walmart and ruin my entire life there. God.
At Walmart?
Like, I get the things that we need and some things that we need coming up. And you can't walk out of there and it's like $200 and I about died. Oh my God.
Yeah, everything's so spendy. Oh, shoot. Sorry.
Even Otis's dog food went up. God. Don't you put yourself in a naughty corner.
Ooh.
No. I wanted you to be up here so you can answer all my questions because I missed that part and you have all the info.
I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I'm sorry.
No, I meant Amanda. I
Oh,
thought you could just
no, I don't want to watch it.
No, I don't want to watch all that. I just, because it's really emotional. It's hard for me to watch that kind of stuff.
I'm going to, I'm looking for something first to watch. In the meantime, Amanda, have you ever been on a panel? I'm not looking at chat, by the way. Not intentionally.
I'll tell you what she says when she answers you. She said it was good. Nothing was shown. No gory information.
Of course not.
That's good because they were just basically going from her being smothered.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, gory stuff. Thank God.
Oh,
Thankfully, they didn't mutilate Tammy. Thank God.
May 3rd. May 3rd at 9 o'clock, and the other one's 1:15. Well, actually, that's Colorado time. That case that I've covered for 4 years, psycho case, they're being sentenced. Okay? And I'm going to be there for it. And I'm really shocked because Psycho, he's, like the leader of this gang, quote unquote. And his brother Julius, which is Gato, they have separate times. And I thought that was really strange for sentencing.
Amanda, Kit was asking if you've ever been up on a panel like I am right now with her.
You used to play piano? I wish I could play an instrument. So anyways, that's a big day for me. I will be covering that because I've been on that case. I've talked to many people in that case, in that life, people connected, even one of the defendants. And I'm going to be there for
it. Do you want to, Amanda?
No. Why does everybody get scared? What are you scared for?
It's not scary. You're just talking like you're talking on the phone.
It's just so much easier, ain't it, Grandma?
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
I'm texting you. I'm like, oh, fuck that. Why am I texting? I'm going to call. Because all my kids do is text. It's like, no, we're going to talk. We're going to do FaceTime.
Yeah.
And Kayla, she's the stubborn one. But, the younger two. I'd rather, when I speak to my kids, look in their eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I could really see what's going on with them.
That's why with my granddaughter, oh my God, Amanda. That's like my granddaughter and I, for the first year I lived here, we would just talk on audio because she had a little Alexa in her room that was just an audio one, no video.
Right.
And then I bought her a video one, which they put out in the living room because you don't want video in the bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
For safety reasons and whatnot. But she got the one in the living room, and now we can talk to each other, sit and talk while she does her homework or draws pictures for me and shows me or whatever. So that's been really nice being able to do that with her. I like seeing her face.
Right. The little ones call me from their iPads.
Oh, no.
My grandchildren, the two little ones. Kayla's kids, the two little ones. But if they do a majority of the time, right?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
That's what Olivia does to me. Oh, I'll be right back, Grandma.
No, they put those goddamn faces up there. What are those things called?
Oh,
filters.
The filters.
I'm like, come on, talk to Grandma. We're not going to play this game, and they'll laugh at me.
Yeah, that's what we used to do when we used Olivia's daddy's phone or mommy's phone, and she would sit there and want to play with the filters. And I'm like, look, did you want to talk to Grandma? No. Well, okay, then I'm not going to play filters with you. You either talk to me or, go do your own damn thing.
Right. No, they're pretty good kids, though. The little ones still really love their grandma a lot. I mean, they're growing up. It's amazing how quick they grow. And it's like, oh, they're not babies no more. They're not grandma no more.
When I was taking my mom to Walmart, I saw we go by the little baby area, when we're doing the groceries, you kind of have to walk past there. And oh my God, they had the cutest little, they're like swimsuits for kids, but they're like for blocking sun out and stuff, filtering the sun.
Right.
They're so cute. And this one there was a little boy one, and it has like short sleeves and all one piece little thing with shorts and then short sleeves. And it's got a zipper that goes up the front, and it had little whales on it. And I'm like, I don't have any more babies. I need somebody to have a baby for me. I need the babies.
Stuff nowadays so cute.
But I just cannot get enough of them.
I know, right?
I love them. They're so fun. Okay, so Amanda is telling us, so there was four bruises to Tammy's right arm on the front.
Holding her down.
One on her left arm, one on her chest, 4 on back of the right arm. And autopsy showed that she died on her back. Yes, we knew that because of lividity.
Yep.
Yeah, we went over that
man.
before.
That's evil. How could you do that to the woman you've been with for over 20 years?
God.
Sick.
It's evil is what it is. It really is. Are you know,
And these kids are going to take the stand on his defense. Are you kidding me? Oh, we love our dad. Oh, yeah, but he killed your mom.
well, you listen to this too. Barry Morphew, his daughter stood up for him and went, oh, my daddy's so perfect. He could never do anything to my mom. Oh, yeah, guess what? And now those autopsy chemical tests come back and show all the drugs that were animal tranquilizers that Barry gave her.
Ain't that crazy?
Allegedly, in my opinion.
Alleged. Yes.
See, no sign of any seizures or heart problems, no tumors. She had fluid in her lungs, missed some of it, but something was said about pressure on her chest. Yeah, because he was sitting on her chest with his legs on her arms and he was smothering her.
I wonder what he gave her.
He gave her horse tranquilizer stuff.
No. Tammy.
Oh, gave Tammy. As far as what?
That's who she's talking about. She's not talking about.
No, I know that. No, I know that.
Oh, okay.
But what do you mean what he gave her as far as drugs?
Yeah, she was foaming at the mouth.
Well, she had red tinged, pink tinged foam.
Yeah.
But they thought it was blood tinged because there's some blood. And that happens too if you're getting smothered. Ugh.
Who plans all this? How can somebody's mind go? I don't understand. How can somebody's mind go to there? I mean, really? I don't understand.
Well, and just like the Relief Society president there, she's saying, you know, Tammy didn't seem sick. I was with her. There's no coughing. There was no seizures or anything that I saw. She was totally fine. She was going to, you know, clogging classes at like 8 p.m. after everybody else was going home. And, you know, it's like she was fine. She wasn't taking anything for any cold. You know, it's just sick. And then Chad had been going around saying, gosh, I just have this feeling something's going to happen to Tammy. And then when she finally passes, he's got all these arrangements already made in another city for her to have a viewing and a funeral. And that's all set up within 3 days. And it takes longer than that. So,
Yes,
you know,
it
he called before the fact. He called before the fact to get that set up. So
You
it
know,
would be done soon.
My mom died June 3rd. Oh, God, I'm going to hate June. Oh, my God, I'm going to hate June. And her birthday's on the 17th of June. We buried her on the 19th. Oh, I'm going to hate June. I'm going to be fucked up, guys. Yep, I'm going to be messed up in June.
Well, don't put that on yourself.
No, I already know. I'm warning everybody right now. Yeah, it's going to be a rough month. Oh, my God.
Nothing found in toxicology apart from meds prescribed to her and at normal levels. See?
Nothing found, huh? Whoa, that's crazy.
He didn't give her anything. It was blood.
Wow.
It was foam, but it was blood tinged. It wasn't pink because of medication. He just flat killed her.
Oh, no.
In my opinion, allegedly.
With his bare hands, allegedly everything. Yes.
Or a pillow, you know.
Did you hear that? Allegedly everything.
Like, he's just evil.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, Amanda.
March is the month that gets me. My dad died 3 days before his birthday. Oh God. You never, ever, ever, even if you know your parent's going to die, you can never prepare. Ever.
Because you live your entire life.
And you think they're never going to die. I didn't think my mom's
With
ever going
them.
to die. We would
Well,
talk
we
to each
can't-
other, and
Exactly.
I'd be like, bitch, you're going to die before me. She goes, no, you bitch, I'm dying before you. I'm like, no, you're not. And we'd do funny shit
Is-
like that. Because I couldn't live without my mom, and she knew that.
Well,
And
she knew she knew you could live without her.
No, I can't.
You are, and you're doing
Okay.
fine. This is just the part of the grieving process.
Oh God.
It's just the hard part.
I talk to my psychiatrist all the time, right?
Yeah.
Through Zoom, because he's
Yeah.
worried about me. And what was I going to say? He said to me, he says, "You haven't let yourself grieve. I want you to grieve." I go, "I have."
No, you haven't. No, honey, I care about you, and I'll tell you, you have not. You have put everybody else first and put your own stuff on the back burner until a better time because it's painful for you. And you haven't properly dealt with it. You've been dealing with your children and their problems and your own health problems before your emotional needs are met.
Right.
You're just going to have to go through it a little at a time. That's what seems to be working for you. Like you're
And-
saying, June, the anniversary of her passing.
Oh, it's going to be, I can't even think.
See, you'll grieve a little bit like you did a little bit last year on those dates, and you'll grieve a little this year.
My mom's with me wherever I go, by the way.
I believe that anyway.
My car, she's around my neck. I got her ashes. She's in a heart in my car on my mirror, and I don't care what everybody thinks. That's my mom. She's my rock. I love her so much. And then I got a teardrop necklace with their ashes in it.
We just got a call from John's sister last weekend, and in reference to his parents' ashes, and his brother, who we will not even begin to tell you about right now, maybe in private, had said that if nobody wants them, they're just going to go to the dump, is what he told me.
Oh,
after mom died. Okay. So I said, "Oh no, my God, don't ever do that. We would take them. We could have them on, on a shelf. We could put them together. Don't ever even say that about them. Cause that would truly kill me to know that he did something like that. I would hate him for it. And I'm sorry, but I would. I'm very sentimental, and I'd rather have, my in-laws on pretty shelf together than in a damn dump somewhere. I'm sorry.
that's messed
But
up.
my sister-in-law said, well, she finally got to talk with the crappy brother, and they have decided to split the parents' ashes up 3 ways, and they're going to get a divided urn, for all 3 of their children, and one half will be mom and one half will be dad in there, and then each of them will get one of those. And I said that would make me very happy. And John was very happy too. Yes, exactly, Amanda. They deserve respect even if they're cremated. And it just made me so sad and sick. Other stuff happened too. Long story, but it didn't surprise.
You go a little weird in the head when your parents die. I can't imagine if your child died. I can't even tell you the things I've done.
Well, my brother passing at 18 years old was difficult for my dad and my stepmom, really hard. And my stepmom had previously had a little boy who died at 7 years old.
Oh, just a baby.
And that had impacted her greatly.
Oh, definitely.
She has an older daughter who's grown and has a granddaughter now and everything from her, but it's not the same. That was her baby. And it's absolutely soul crushing.
Yeah.
It's just how like you and I get kid about our grown kids. Yeah, they're adults, but they're still our babies. And we feel so protective towards them. Oh my goodness, that never goes away. Never. You just always feel that way for your kids.
What I did my family's very dysfunctional. Like everybody has some kind of dysfunction, but a lot of my family, they all passed away. I got a really small family. There's not a lot of us, okay, because they all died of cancers.
Yeah.
Okay? They all started dying at the age of 49 and dead by 63. So, anyways, what I did is for the granddaughters, they all got necklaces, and for the boys, they got mini urns.
Yeah.
I got her though. I got the big one.
Yeah.
We would joke around. I go, Mom, you're going to go in my car and I'm going to buckle you in, bitch.
That's so funny.
You know, when she died, I was holding her, right? I was holding her, and I'm not shitting you people. I'm not making this up. I watched her take her last breath, the most awful thing I've ever witnessed in my fucking life, even though I used to work in a nursing home and take care of dying people. This was totally different for me.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, Mom. And I went to go put the oxygen back on her, okay, trying to save her life, because that's how I got, even though I knew she was gone. But she did it, and I'm screaming, Mom, Mom, and I felt a thing, like you know when you felt like you get the wind knocked out of you.
Yep.
That's what happened to me. It's like I felt her soul go through me.
She passed through you.
It was so freaking weird. I had to catch my breath. I went, oh my God, again. I can't tell you what I did. God, that's crazy.
It's not crazy. And you know, when Joan's grandmother died, and boy, did I love that woman. She was something else. She was like 94. And when she passed, we kind of knew it was coming because of her age, and she, you know, was kind of slowing down all of a sudden. And so we kind of knew that it would come, but we didn't know for sure. And it was, John was asleep in his chair in the living room, and it was probably like 2 a.m. or something. And he said he heard his grandmother say, I love you, John. And he went, oh. And he goes, I love you too, Grandma. And then the morning the phone rang and we knew. And I asked what time, and they told me, and I freaked out because it was at the same time. So when she died, she came and said goodbye to him.
Right. Well, I don't care what anybody thinks. My mom has came to me 2 times. Okay, and that bitch hasn't come lately. Mind you, me and my mom, we called each other a bitch. My mom had me when she was 16 years old, so I grew up with her. And it was so real, too. She came to me on my birthday. She knew I was struggling at Thanksgiving. And in my dream, okay, the vision, but I woke up and the tears were there. She wasn't talking, but when I was holding her, okay, for real, when you know she was dying, she was playing with my hair. She was doing that same thing to me as I'm laying on her chest with my head.
Yeah.
I go, Mama, I miss you so much. She goes, I know you do, honey.
Well, see, this is like when one of my online friends that I was friends with like forever, she got the lung cancer and passed in like a month or so. And we talked about a lot of those things before she got really sick and stuff. But when she passed, oh my God, it's just, I just felt like I was really grieving. And then I thought, wait a minute, I was getting too upset about it. And I just thought, you know, it's not like they're gone. They just stepped into the next room because they can still see us. I believe they can still see us. They can still try to contact us in dreams. They still can make contact with us. You know, like Amanda is saying right now. She can feel when they come around. She can, you know, taste when her dad is around and feel when her grandma comes. And you get a little cold spot on his shoulders because, you know, they're trying to contact us. They are not gone. They just stepped into the next room. So we just need to step into the next room and they'll be there. I believe it. You okay, Kit? You okay, Kitty? You're all right. I love you.
Okay.
I love you. She doesn't leave you. She's always with you, and you know that. But I know that you miss her physically. Amanda, what were you saying about your friend was murdered when her little baby was 2? Was this like a domestic violence situation, or was she, you know, in like an accident type thing?
Oh no.
And now the grandmother has the then 2-year-old, but now how old is that child, your friend's child now? Has it been a long time? I don't know what her grandmother's going through. It's got to be hard to take on a little one all of a sudden like that.
200 miles away. Wow.
That's a long drive. A lot of people, like, if their mom was into flowers and stuff, they would like smell roses and stuff like that. You know, and then they'd get the sense their mom was there. Sometimes it's like the grandpa used to smoke cigars and they smell cigars and, you know, feel like his presence. I just think that's wonderful. Oh my God. She was attacked by her ex with a screwdriver.
What?
Is 8. I hope he's still in prison, sweetheart. I hope till that child is 18 at least. That's horrible.
It is.
But the grandma has her baby, so I'm glad the grandma has her daughter's daughter. You know what I mean?
That's all he got? That's it?
He's only done 6 years of it. He's got a while to go.
Wow.
At least their child will be, you know, almost 30 if he ever gets out, and she will be able to speak for herself at that time, how that's affected her.
Right.
Yeah. It's shitty. I just, you know, these people coming on and talking about Tammy with such love. I mean, really, I can just hear it. They loved her.
Yeah.
They loved working with her. They thought she was a good woman and a happy person.
I wonder if she had an inkling. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of words right now.
That's the right word.
Do you think that she maybe knew something, or is she oblivious to it all? Because they were sneaky. But Melanie Gibb knows more. Melanie.
Yeah.
More.
Melanie and her husband, ex-husband.
And Zulema.
And it's just, you know, it's so, oh, God, I just can't imagine. But how do the people live with themselves? Like you're asking how Chad could live with himself. Well, demon, hello. He has no conscience.
Look at that frog.
Don't say Ribbit.
Oh God, I remember the first time you did that ribbit. I laughed so freaking hard. I'm like, oh my God, Grandma's too much. And then I found the frog emoji on my laptop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at this. There's a frog emoji on my laptop.
Oh God, he does look like one. I'm that big
He
mouth.
does. Oh, I wish I could find somebody that could do Chad for me so I could do that parody.
Oh God,
I already have one in mind. But I don't trust anybody in my life. Long story. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Still
denying it. Yeah, and I can't believe his kids are standing by him just like Barry Morphew's daughters. Who in the world is, you know, either they're in on it, or they are as blind gets, because who could not see this?
I think because allegedly, I'm just guessing here. Okay, they already lost one parent, so they're grieving and they want to hold on to what's left, even though, you know,
they killed their mother.
Can you imagine hearing this? And
this is like being one of OJ's kids. I'm sorry. I don't want to be around my dad if he murdered my mom. Right. I'm just like a big nope all about those people. Once they're implicated in something like that, I'm sorry. That's too much drama for my life. If you are anywhere close to being a suspect in my friend or relative's unaliving, I do not want to talk to you until it's all over and you are proven to be not involved. Proven.
Um,
It's horrible.
yeah,
How can his kids stand up for him?
I don't know.
Isn't this a whole lot of coincidence?
Okay, you know what got me? That phone when him and Emma were talking at the car when he got arrested, right?
Right.
She had she talked to Lori. She would talk to Lori at jail. She had been they like had a relationship, her and Lori.
But then weren't they the ones that weren't they very upset though when he ran off and got married to her because they barely knew her?
Yeah, they didn't even know who she was until, the Hawaii thing. But once, he came back, um, I don't know. I don't know.
Amanda, tell me more about that. Sorry, muting.
Have you seen the story that broke today? A man moved in with the family to help them look for their missing son. Oh,
Somebody's here. I'll be right back. Somebody's
Yeah.
at my house.
what's the name? I mean, where's this case at? Is it in the US or the UK? Probably the US. We got a bunch of crazy shit that happens here. I think he'd been living with him about 5 years. What? Oh, what? You? That's sick. It is. Disgusting. Let's see what's going on here. We should be back here in like 10 minutes. Hold on. All right. I've been watching Young Thug's trial. It is taking forever. That judge is very biased. That DA, she runs that courtroom. It is so disgusting how he treats defense witnesses or defense attorneys. Okay. Let me go look. Maybe I can find something here. Let's see here. Oh my God. Oh, look at this sweet little girl. Look at this, you guys. Oh. Trigger. Screaming for her life. Mom allegedly hangs 6-year-old girl in closet while beating her and bruising her body. Look at that precious little girl. Who does that? Disgusting. Oh, look at her. I don't understand. She's so cute. If you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, he killed me. What? Wow. What is going on? Wow. Let's go back up here to this little girl. What's her name? Okay, this is in New York. What's the little girl's name? The mama was 23. Her name was Jalea. Oh, what a cute name. I don't understand it, people. I will never understand any of it. Look at her. She's a tiny little thing, too, for a 6-year-old. Okay, we got 9 minutes, you guys. 9 minutes. Darren Bikers. Darren Bikers. Hold on. Oh my gosh.
I'm back.
Hi.
Why, look at that little sweetheart.
Look at that sweet little girl. You know what her mama did? She said
What?
her name is Jalea. Her mom, okay, it says screaming for her dear life, mom allegedly hangs her 6-year-old girl in closet while beating her.
What?
Yes. Look at her. Who would do that?
What is wrong with people?
And this is in New York. I'm looking up that name right now, Amanda.
My God. Well, that was a good visitor we've got out here right now. Gonna save me a bunch of money.
Hold on. Oh, I thought you said it was recent. It's not recent. It's in 2023.
That's pretty recent.
No, I thought it was today.
Oh, she's beautiful.
I know, is he cute? No, that one just happened. I'm talking about this one. How come it says this here? Oh, that's a school bus driver. It has the same name.
Moved in with a family. Yeah, that's the name. Darren Vickers. Murder of 8-year-old open shop boy Jamie Lavis. Yeah. 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 What a dick.
That's crazy. Oh, look at that sweet little boy.
And he was messing with the mom. Or said he did anyway. Oh, God.
Oh. You put some clothes on, creep.
Yeah.
Look at that sweet boy. Oh, look at those shoes.
I know, aren't those cool?
What the hell? Huh, interesting.
It's good for neuropathy. Bleaching your dark spots. Yeah, great.
Teen killer who murdered must be grandma, and dumped her body in a canal released from jail. What? Let's looky here. Why? The grandma was 70.
Why is she released from prison when she killed the grandma? Now she's back on the streets 26 years after the murder.
See, okay.
Oh, she was 14.
You know, can I tell you? You look like the grandma. Wow, that's how old she was.
She was
Look at-
14.
That's crazy.
You, who does she look like to you? Look at those eyes.
Alani.
Yep.
Leilani Simon.
Yep. Doesn't she?
Yep, the eyes.
Ugh. God.
No, there isn't. No. Not that I can find, but I only did a quick search. Let's get this back up.
What is wrong with people? Dude, I'm never going to become a murderer. If I ever did anything like that, it would just be crazy.
I don't get it. Oh, Jesus. My sweet little girl. No, what are you doing out there, pretty girl? All right. All right.
We should be going back to court here shortly.
Yep, anytime. Any minute, any minute.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed.
Lori, do you love Chad?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I love you, babe.
What message do you have for the world, Lori? I know you can hear me.
I was rapping in chat.
Are you rapping in the chat?
I was rapping. They call me a frog. I got a slime complex. That it wasn't a complex.
I
The
gotta
things that-
get a hold of Grace. I do. I
You-
will. Give me time.
I hope you do. The thing that I
will.
did left 4 people dead. I'm sick in the head. Got Lori in my bed.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're goofy.
I am goofy.
That's good though. I like that. I didn't know you could spit bars.
I can't. I can do nothing. I have absolutely useless talents.
They call me a frog. Let's go.
Yeah, give Bryce my lyrics.
Like go hopping one. I said I can't. Oh, I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate. I really did bad. What'd you do?
I really did bad. I've been posting like mad. Is there movement in the case? No. What did you really did bad? Rapping? Because I don't rap.
They're late. They're a minute late.
Well, that's not surprising. They're usually at least 5 minutes late.
I'm one of those people. You've got to be timely.
It's 3:01 on my computer clock. 3:02.
2:02 here.
Okay. Well, it was 1:02 there, and they were supposed to come back at about quarter after, right?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
That's why I said they're late. 2 minutes now.
Oh, got Lori in my bed. I really did bad. Oh, God, he's so gross. I don't know why she would want to not have Charles and yet have this frog.
No.
Why? I don't understand, because Charles was nice looking.
I wonder. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
All right, thank you. If we could please have the jurors brought in, I think they're lined up.
All right. Here's all President Counter for your honor.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we're back on the record on case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. We just concluded our lunch recess. Ms. Gilbert is on the stand under direct examination at this time, the state continuing. And I will remind the witness, you're still under oath for your testimony. With that, once you're ready, Ms. Blake, you can proceed with your continuing direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Gilbert, I think we left off. I'd ask you if Chad or Lori provided you any details regarding how Lori's daughter died.
No,
And you talked about going to clean a house. Was that Emma's house?
that was Emma's house when we took meals to her and she had gotten quite sick. And so I'd gone to clean her house and for her.
At some point, did you learn that Lori's children were missing?
I did learn, let's see. I believe it was in November, I learned that they were missing. And I learned who their mother was and that she was married to Chad. So my husband and I called Chad and asked him, are these her children that are missing? And he said that, yes, that it was a custody battle and that when everything came out, it would be fine.
And would this have been after Chad and Lori had told you of their plans to get married?
Yes, I think it was after they were married.
And after that visit in late October, early November, where both Chad and Lori were present, did you learn whether or not Chad was still in Idaho?
He was still in Idaho when they came to visit us. And then it's when I cleaned Emma's house, I believe, and that's when she told me they had gotten married.
Did you learn where Chad had gotten married?
Yes,
And where was that?
in Hawaii.
After his marriage, did Chad ever come to your residence again?
Yes, he came and showed us wedding pictures of their wedding there in Hawaii, and was quite excited to show us his wedding pictures.
And do you recall approximately how much time had passed between he and Lori's first visit to your house and then that second visit when they were married?
I think it was 2 weeks.
Were you surprised to see wedding photos?
Yes,
And why were you surprised?
I was surprised they'd got married so early. I was really surprised when they had told me they didn't know when or how, but then I was surprised that it was so early.
And you were friends with Tammy, right?
Yes.
At some point after that visit, when Chad and Lori showed you the wedding photos, did Chad come to your residence again?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that would have been?
He came after Lori was arrested in Hawaii, and he had moved back to Idaho, and he came and asked if he could, first asked if he could, I think it was when her first bond was gonna come up. And that's when he asked us if we would put our house up for her bond.
And prior to asking you for you to put up the bond, do you recall if he ever asked if he could live with you?
Yes, he did.
And what did you tell him?
Well, first y- it was like an overnight, if he could be overnight. And and I was okay with an overnight, but I could not let him live with us. So we told him that our daughter was gonna move in and there wouldn't be any room.
And then he'd ask you to consider putting up some bond money or putting up your property. Is that correct?
Judge, I'm gonna object at this point. We're getting a little leading.
Sustain.
And I think you had previously indicated that he asked you about bond. Do
Yes.
you recall what he asked you in relation to that?
When he came in, he was quite upset, and he said he had to get her out of jail, and that he cried and he said it was just killing her to be in jail, and could we put our house up for bond? And we asked him if he had family that could help him. He said no. And he mentioned another friend, I think. He said he couldn't help him. And we said we would think about it, and I think that was a Saturday. Sunday, we got a text from him, and he wanted to bring the bondswoman to our home and to meet her at our house that Sunday.
And did you in fact have another conversation with Chad about posting bond or putting your property up?
Yes, there was 2 conversations. This was the first one.
And what did you ultimately end up deciding?
No.
During your conversation with Chad regarding the bond, do you recall anything about the comment previously made about Lori's daughter dying coming up?
Yes, because I asked him, how many daughters does Lori have? And he said, 1. And I said, well, when we met you, you told me she had a daughter that passed away. And he said, no, I didn't. And I said, yes, you did. And then when I asked him about the missing children, and he said it was a custody battle. So that's why I asked, how many daughters does she have? And then he denied telling me that.
Did you learn the name of Lori's daughter?
I only learned not through him. I didn't.
Have you since heard the name Tylee?
Yes,
Do you recall specifically talking to Chad about Tylee?
I did. When he asked about the bond, I was a little miffed that he had asked that. And so I thought, I'm asking you some questions. So I asked him, where are the children? And I asked him, where's Tylee? I said, she's a teenager. So I said, doesn't she want a life? And come out and say, I'm the missing girl. I want a job and a life and a boyfriend. And he just said, she didn't like people and she didn't like me.
Did something stick out about those statements?
He said, didn't.
So he used the past tense.
He did.
And backing up a little bit, do you recall a time in February of 2019 when Chad was at your residence?
Yes. He had come over. We were working on a bedroom floor, and he came over, and as he was leaving, that's when he mentioned that he had a vision or such that Tammy was going to pass away. He didn't know how or when, but before her 50th birthday.
And do you recall around that same time Chad saying anything about Tammy and games on a computer?
Yes, he had told my husband and I that Tammy liked to play some games on the computer, and that he had told her that her grandmother, I think, but she was dead, had come to him and told him to tell her that she was not happy with Tammy on the computer, that she was wasting her time on the computer.
When Chad made the comment about Tammy going to die, did Tammy have any health issues that you were aware of?
No, in fact, I kind of just passed it off. I didn't really take it serious, honestly, because she wasn't.
If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Gilbert, can you tell me how often on a weekly basis you would see Tammy Daybell?
We had our meetings on Wednesday mornings, and then I would see her on Sunday.
At church?
Yeah.
So, and how long were the meetings on Wednesday morning?
Oh, an hour to 2 hours.
Okay, and how many people were present at that meeting when you would see her for those Wednesday meetings?
There were 4 of us.
Okay, and that was about for 2 hours?
That was the longest.
Okay, that was a long meeting?
That was the longest we went.
Oh, the longest you go. Okay, and then as far as church is concerned, did you sit next to each other at church?
No, sometimes in our second meeting, we sat by each other because it was our presidency, but not in the first meeting.
Okay, so church would last about how long on a Sunday?
2 hours.
Okay. So you would see her for about 3 to 4 hours a week?
Yeah.
Would that be fair? Okay. And then after the birth of Emma's child, the Daybell family would sit at the back of the church. Is that right? You recall that?
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not in evidence. Counsel's testifying. Move to strike.
World.
So the location of where they would sit, generally, do you recall that they would sit in the front of the church in the beginning?
Not quite in the front, maybe the middle.
Okay. And then after Emma's child was born, they would, out of respect, they
Sometime,
moved to the
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, do you have any recollection of Chad spending mornings at the Salem church every morning with his truck parked up there?
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
Do you have any information about Chad parking his truck up at the Salem church every morning
On Sunday morning?
every morning? during
Oh,
the
no, I have
week?
no idea every
Okay.
morning.
And that Tammy's family was from Springville, right?
Yes,
And so it wouldn't have been particularly unusual for Tammy to have a service in Springville out of respect to her family over there, correct?
no, and I didn't.
Okay. You made mention of something about our presidency, and my notes say Bishop provided a meal. Talk to me about that a
Mhm.
little bit.
So the four of us in our Relief Society presidency, and I had contacted the bishop, and he wanted to be part of that. So us three sisters now in the Relief Society provided the meal, and the bishop included in on that.
And then my notes say the 26th of October is the date that Chad mentioned that he met Lori when he was talking with you, and he mentioned that he met Lori Vallow at a conference in St. George, Utah.
Right.
And that was sometime in very late of 2018, right?
I believe that conference was
Okay.
in 2018.
And you mentioned that the way you knew Lori Vallow was through a person by the name of Melanie Gibb.
Right.
And you know Melanie Gibb as someone who's deeply involved in the Preparing the People movement and those sort of organizations, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not in evidence. Counsel's testifying.
Sustained.
How do you know Melanie Gibb?
I think, I don't know how we came upon her podcast, and I was trying to remember how we knew of her podcast. But I didn't know Lori, and so we just wanted to listen to Melanie's.
Okay.
And then that's where I heard of Lori, is through on her podcast.
So did you know of Melanie through the fact that she had a podcast, or did you know her through her participation in the Preparing the People movement?
I just knew her through the podcast.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now, you mentioned that Chad talked to you about taking all of the kids to Disneyland. Is it possible they said Knott's Berry Farm?
I heard Disneyland.
Okay. Okay. Have you been to Chad's house?
Yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that it's a one-story house?
There's an addition to the house.
Right,
You walk through a breezeway, and then there's stairs that goes up.
right. And when you say an addition, it's more of a building that's.
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's testifying. Witness has already said.
Sustained.
Are you aware that attachment to the back of the house doesn't have any electric?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Are you aware that the attachment to the house that build on doesn't have any heat?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's testifying. Facts not in evidence. Move to strike.
Sustained. Mr. Pryor, it's got to be questioning, not just testimony through your question.
Well, Judge, I'm asking her if she's aware.
Well, I know, but there's a proper way to do that with facts from the witness, not from you.
Do you, have you been in that addition that's attached to the house?
I have.
Okay. Do you have any information about what utilities are available in that building?
I don't. I didn't look
Okay.
at that
Okay.
part.
And are you aware that nobody uses that?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's testifying or attempting to testify. Move to strike.
Sustained.
Do you have any knowledge about any of the family members utilizing any of that portion of the addition?
I knew that Garth had a ham radio set up and I think a drum set. up
Okay,
there. I don't know on their living conditions.
okay. Were you aware of their living conditions in the primary residence?
I just knew of where Tammy's room was at.
Okay, and that's Chad's room as well?
I assume so.
Okay, and then in the other bedroom would be whose room?
I don't know which rooms the kids, whose room was what.
Okay, at the time of Tammy's passing, do you know who was living in the residence at the time?
I believe Garth was.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm not sure if Seth was or not.
Okay,
He could have been.
okay, and then obviously you previously mentioned something about Emma living kitty corner from the house, right?
Right. And then Mark was coming home from his mission, so he would have lived there, but
Okay,
not yet.
and the other daughter lives somewhere in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you indicated that Chad openly spoke to you about the Disneyland, discussed it with you openly, right?
Yeah, just that they were going to take the kids to Disneyland.
Okay, so at around the time of October, when I believe these discussions were in October, right?
Right.
He wasn't trying to hide his whereabouts in any way, was he?
He didn't with us.
And he wasn't trying to conceal where he was going on trips and vacations, correct?
No, not with us. He didn't.
And he openly discussed with you his plans for the future, correct?
That he was going to go to Hawaii and write a book.
Okay. Yeah. And did you get the impression from Chad when he was talking about the children, that he felt the children were still alive?
I didn't know of missing children then.
Okay, well, that wasn't really my question. My question was, at the time he was talking to you about the children, did
Which-
she?
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's okay. I mean, I know this is nerve-wracking.
I'm
it-
not sure which time.
Okay, it's okay. But at the time, you've had discussions with Chad about the children. Based on his demeanor, did you get the impression that he felt the children were still alive?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
I felt like he was avoiding it. I didn't get I couldn't get a straight answer.
Okay. So when he told you that when the truth comes out and that you felt it was a custody case, that didn't give you the impression that when the truth came out, it was a custody case, that the children's whereabouts would be told to everybody?
That's what he told me, but I
Okay.
was confused.
Okay,
From
it's
the other-
okay. Judge, that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
I would have said to him, well, you bought the house, you would know.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you have any idea where Chad went every morning?
I have no idea.
And you didn't talk about that, right?
No, I do know that because we didn't leave our home every morning, so I asked, sometimes we saw his vehicle wasn't there, so I think I asked him where he did go. He said he went to the college,
So not the church, but the college.
to the library.
And you've been in the Daybell residence, correct?
Right.
And you talked about there are stairs in that residence?
There is to get a Disney.
Judge, I'm going to object. Mischaracterization.
Overruled.
So at least all of the residence is not one story. Is that fair?
Right.
And you were asked about Chad sharing with you his plans for the future. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And his plans for the future, as far as what he told you, were what again?
that he was going to Hawaii, but They did talk about marriage, but they didn't know when or where.
So the plans included going to Hawaii,
Mhm.
correct?
Right,
And the plans also included marrying Lori Vallow.
right.
When Chad first mentioned Lori's daughter, again, he referred to her as dead.
Judge, I'm gonna object. There's, not only is it leading,
Overruled.
He did, as I was asking her about her husband, and he mentioned that she just had a daughter that had passed.
So from that conversation, Chad knew or believed one of Lori's children was dead.
Yeah.
Are you aware that Lori's children were found on Chad Daybell's property?
Judge,
Yes.
objection.
Grounds?
It's no, I'll withdraw, Judge, at this point. That's fine.
Are you aware Lori's children's remains were found on Chad Daybell's property?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
All right, that will conclude the testimony then of this witness.
Yeah, how do you get around that, huh?
Does the state have any intention of a recall of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Would the defense intend to recall her or have her brought in your case in chief, Mr.
No,
Pryor?
Judge, I don't think so.
Okay, then you are released from any subpoena. Court appreciates you appearing for trial. You may go ahead and step down. Thank you. All right, the state can call its next witness.
Your Honor, the state will call Todd Gilbert.
Very well.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, at this time, then the witness has been sworn. Mr. Gilbert, before we proceed with testimony, I want to inquire as to whether or not you have watched any of the trial, either online or through any news media outlet or here in person in court.
I have not.
Okay, have you discussed with anyone else their trial testimony?
No.
Okay, thank you for your responses. You can inquire on direct, Ms. Blake.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Todd Gilbert, TODDGILBERT.
Do you know an individual named Chad Daybell?
Yes, I do.
And did you know an individual named Tammy or Tamara Daybell?
Yes.
How did you know them?
In 2015, I heard of Chad Daybell. He was an author and wrote books. And that's how I heard of him and that he was an author.
Had you read some of his books?
Yes.
And did you read those books before you ever actually met Chad in person?
Most of them, yes.
And then did you end up relocating?
Yes. We moved into the Salem area in Chad's neighborhood around March of 2017.
Did you meet Chad in person at that time?
Yes.
And did you also meet Tammy in person?
Yes.
And outside of Chad being an author, how did you come to meet them?
We were in the same ward with him, the same neighborhood. And so within a week, I believe we met him at church and introduced ourselves. And that's how it started off right there.
Out of Tammy and Chad, would you say there was one of them that you knew better or spent more time with?
Yes, Chad.
And how often would you see Chad?
Probably on the average about once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on time of year and that.
And was that generally at church?
Yes,
Did you see him at times outside of church?
yes. Sometimes I'd see him on his lawn, or sometimes he had me come over and help him do some plumbing stuff.
And we talked about that you'd read some of Chad's books. Did Chad ever discuss his religious beliefs or his purported beliefs with you?
Yes, a little bit sometimes. They didn't ring true with me on everything. I thought, well, I had no reason to doubt him, but maybe they happened to him and things that he was going to see in the area and that. So
And when you talk about things he was going to see, are those oftentimes referred to as visions?
yes,
And did you talk to Chad about some of the books he had written?
yes,
And did he share with you whether those were fictional or non-fictional?
yes. He also wrote children's books earlier. I didn't read any of them, but he wrote a couple of different series. And I'd read the first series and the second series, and he was in the process of finishing the second series in 2019. And so we did discuss a lot of the different events that he had in them books, both series.
And was it your understanding that all those events were fictional?
Yes, they were fictional based on his dreams, visions, near-death experience.
So part of the books were based on his visions at least,
Yes,
and then part of them was fictional,
right.
was your understanding.
Yes, that's what I understood.
When Chad would talk with you about his beliefs, did it feel like he was trying to teach you or just share them with you?
A lot of times we would just kind of talk about the events that he'd seen. At that point, he wasn't necessarily really trying to teach me anything. He was just talking about things in the future that was coming up.
And when we talked about church, what church is it?
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And did the things Chad tell you always comport with standard LDS doctrine?
No,
And it sounds like you would be willing to listen to him when he would share these things with you. Is that fair?
yes, I would listen to some of the stuff he had to say. It was interesting.
Did you hold all those same beliefs?
No,
Do you recall Chad coming to your residence around February of 2019?
yes,
Do you recall anything about that visit that stood out to you?
yes. Myself and my wife were working on a bedroom floor trying to get some old tile out so we could put some carpet in. And Chad sent me a text, said he wanted to come over and talk to us. So he came over and we were finishing up, and he talked about some other stuff and on the way out, he says, I don't know if I should say this to you, but I feel like I should tell you that Tammy's mission is going to come to an end, or her life mission, before her 50th birthday.
At that time, did you know how old Tammy was?
No, I figured she was around 48 though, it seems like.
At some point, did you learn of Tammy's passing?
Yes,
Do you recall when you learned of her passing?
yes, on the morning of October 19th, 2019, about 7 a.m., we received a phone call from Emma, Chad's daughter, and she was crying, and she said that her
Judge,
mom.
I'm gonna object. Hearsay.
Sustained.
And did Emma seem upset to you?
Yes,
I think you indicated she was crying.
yes,
At some point, did Chad take the phone?
yes,
And at some point during that call, did you learn of Tammy's passing?
yes,
Did you end up going to the Daybell residence that morning?
yes, we did.
Do you recall approximately what time you would have gone over?
It was around 8:15 a.m. In the morning.
When you got to the residence, Did you make any observations of Chad?
Yes. When we walked in the living room, uh, all of his children were there except for Mark, which was on a mission. I'm not sure if his second daughter was there. And they were all sitting on the couch. And Chad he didn't seem like he was real sad, like I would expect somebody to be after their spouse had just passed on. He seemed kind of businesslike to me, I thought, and I thought that was kind of strange. And I know Chad's demeanor was a little hard to figure out because he's soft spoken. So sometimes it was hard to tell if he was crying. So that's how it looked to me that morning.
And you said you arrived there around 8:15, you believe?
Yes,
So, Tammy had just been pronounced dead shortly before that. Was that your understanding?
that's what we understand. Yes.
Do you recall Chad making any statements to you that day or having a conversation with him?
Yes, I was talking to him about it a little bit, and I said to him, I'd forgot that what he had told me in February about Tammy passing. I said to him, well, it looks like it must have happened. And he said, yes, it did. And he kind of turned his back away from the children, which were sitting on the couch. And he says that they didn't really know about it. They hadn't heard of it before. He hadn't told them.
And when you say they hadn't heard of it and he hadn't told them, is that referring to his vision that Tammy was going to pass away?
Yes.
Do you recall if Chad told you anything regarding how Tammy had died?
Yes. I asked him if he had any idea of what happened to her. And he says that she got up around midnight. She had a big coughing spell and she also threw up, and that she went back to bed. And then he told me that he figures she died around 2 a.m. and from an embolism or something like that. I don't know how he knew that, and that about 5:30, she rolled her weight of her body. I guess she rolled out of bed onto the floor partially. And he hollered for Gar to come and help her come and help lift her back on the bed.
So he told you it was believed the time of death was around 2 a.m.
Yes.
And then he indicated to you that 3 to 4 hours later, she rolled out of bed.
Yes.
Had you had an opportunity prior to Tammy's passing to observe her?
Yes, several occasions. We would see her shopping at Walmart. She looked fine, talked fine. We'd see her at church.
Judge, I'm going to
A
object
lot.
at this point. It's becoming a narrative.
Overruled.
You can continue.
We would see her at church at least once a week. See her out in the yard when we was driving by, turning the corner. She looked fine.
And you say she looked fine. Did you ever notice anything with regard to her appearing to have failing health?
No.
Were you ever able to make observations of Chad and Tammy together?
Yes.
What did you observe about their interactions with each other?
When we first moved into the Salem area, I was assigned as a home teacher for the church to go to his home. And usually him and Tammy would be sitting on the couch and they were holding hands and seemed like a good couple. And then at church, it was a lot the same. When we first moved into the ward, they were pretty well halfway up to the front or even closer to the front. I did notice as time went on in 2019, start of 2019 to Tammy's death, that they were slowly moving towards the back like they were trying to hide or didn't want to be seen, or their demeanor seemed to be a little separate from each other.
And in relation to you and Chad talking, at any point did he decrease in telling you about his beliefs or different things like that?
Yes, that was about the same time, beginning of 2019 into 2018. He was harder to find him at church, I guess, to asking, anything and he told me that, well, the preparation world was slowing down a little bit. People were kind of tired of it, didn't want to know as much. And so there just wasn't as much going on. And he was harder to, I guess, corner to talk to.
And going back to October 19th, did you leave and come back to the residence that day, to the
Ye-
Daybell residence?
Yes. Well, after we'd been there a while, we asked Chad if family would like breakfast. So we went to the McDonald's in Rexburg and got breakfast and brought it back to him. And when we arrived, there was more people there then. And so Gar said just to leave it on the kitchen table there. So that's where we left it.
At some point, do you recall having a conversation with Chad about what his plans were in relation to staying in the residence?
Yes, the day after the funeral, the same night that they had the memorial, I believe it was on a Wednesday night. We took him dinner over there around 6, I believe. And after talking to him for a minute, he said, I've got to move out. I can't stay here anymore. And so I asked him where he was going to move to. And he said he has a friend over on Pioneer Road in Rexburg that had an apartment that's not there all the time, and that he was going to move in with that person, which I figured was a man at the time.
And did Chad ever provide you the name of who he was going to move in with?
No, he didn't.
And you talked about that being after Tammy's memorial. Do you recall when her memorial was?
Yeah, it was the Wednesday after Tammy died. Can't remember exactly what date.
And do you recall that Tammy died on a Saturday?
Yes,
Did you attend her funeral?
yes, we did.
And do you recall when her funeral was?
It was the following Tuesday, which was the 22nd, I believe.
And do you recall where the funeral was?
Yes, in Springville, Utah.
Did anything strike you as odd about the timing of the funeral?
Yes, it seemed like things were way hurried fast. Going back to when Tammy died, when we were there, we asked him about the funeral, and we figured it was going to be a few more days than the following Tuesday. That seemed real odd, that like somebody had been thinking ahead of time.
Judge, I'm gonna
Had that.
object.
Grounds
Speculation.
overruled.
You can continue.
That seemed real fast to have a funeral for your spouse that you were in love with. And so it just seemed real fast to us and odd.
And in attending the funeral, did you make any observations of Chad?
Yes, when we arrived there, we went in and it was before it started. So we went in the viewing area, and Chad and his children are in there along with relatives on both sides of the family. And he was standing by the casket, and he seemed okay. He looked okay. We talked to him for a minute or two and looked at Tammy in the casket, and we felt like we needed a closure with Tammy because we'd known her, and that he just seemed like he was in a hurry to get it over with, kind of like, I guess you might say.
And then we talked about when you got back, you went to his residence after the memorial. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you attend the memorial?
No, we did not.
And it's at that time that he let you know he was going to be moving out?
Yes.
Sometime after that, did you and your wife make contact with Chad?
Yes, I believe it was the following Saturday or somewhere in that area. We thought, well, maybe it'd be a good idea to run over and see how he's doing and take a pizza to him. So we gave him a call about 5:30 p.m. and he said, well, maybe I'll just hurry and come over and see you guys at your house. So like he didn't want us to come over to his place. So that's how we lined it up.
And did he in fact end up coming to your residence?
Yes, he got there about 6 o'clock.
And when he arrived at the residence, did you end up having a conversation with him?
Yes, he come in and my wife had just got done making some cookies. So he sit down at the table and we were kind of standing there just chatting, how he was doing. He wanted to know how we were doing. And then he seemed a little hesitant. He says, I need to tell you something. And he says, I have a girlfriend. And of course we about fell on the floor, but, and he, I kind of felt like he was a little hesitant to tell us and like we was going to have to prod him to say who it was. But then he said her name was Lori Ballo. And I thought to myself, I've heard that name before. And then I thought of a podcast that I'd heard her on.
Had you ever met Lori Vallow in person?
Not at that time.
And this occurred approximately a week or a little less than a week after Tammy was pronounced dead?
Yes, it's probably about a week and a half.
Did he end up telling you anything else about his girlfriend other than her name?
Yes, he said that that Tammy's mission was basically over with this earth life, and so his second half of his life was supposed to be with Lori, and that she was going to help him do his mission, and that she was beautiful and stuff like that.
And was Lori was not with him on that occasion, is that right?
No.
At some point, did you end up meeting Lori?
Yes, why Chad was still there. He says that Lori and her friends were going to be in the area and that would we like to meet her? And we said, yes, we would. And so we worked in the Rexburg temple on Tuesdays. We had the night shift. And Chad said that him and her or Lori and a couple of her friends were going to be in the temple doing some work that afternoon and that they'd try to meet us.
And did you in fact end up meeting them at the temple?
Yes.
So the first time you met Lori in person, she was at the temple with Chad?
Yes.
At a later time, do you recall Chad and Lori coming to your residence?
Yes, it was 2 or 3 days after that, I believe.
And when they came to your residence, did you end up having a conversation with them?
Yes.
Do you recall what they told you?
They, when they first come in, they were real happy, excited, kind of like with each other. So we invited them in, come sit on the couch. They ended up sitting real close to each other, holding hands. And one thing we thought was strange, I seen Chad rubbing her leg, and I thought to myself, that's kind of odd. Your first wife has died within a week and a half, and you're carrying on kind of like a teenager sitting there that's first in love. So I thought it was odd.
Had you ever seen him act like that with Tammy?
No.
Do you recall them talking to you about their plans for a future together?
Yes, they said that they were going to eventually end up in Hawaii. And I guess Lori'd already lived over there, so they were going to go back to Hawaii and live permanently after they got things all wrapped up here.
Do you recall if they indicated their plan to be together?
Yes, they were planning on being together, eventually get married.
And do you recall if there was any conversation regarding Lori's former spouse?
Yes, while they were there, we asked him, the normal stuff you'd ask people when they come visit you the first time. Have you been married before? She said, yes, she had. That her husband had died of a heart attack in December 2018 is what she told us.
Do you recall any conversations or statements made regarding Lori's daughter?
Yes, we asked her if she had any children. She said that she had had several. And Chad kind of popped up and said that she had a daughter that had just died. So we didn't know what to think of that.
When Chad mentioned that Lori had a daughter that had just died, did Lori say anything different?
No, she didn't say anything.
Do you recall if either of them ever mentioned Lori having a minor son?
No, I can't recall anything of that.
And after that visit, do you recall them coming to your residence on another occasion?
Yes, they came back, what was it, probably about the second week in November, I believe, 2019, after they had got married. Why? And they kind of stopped in just to see us, and they wanted to show us all of their wedding pictures, which we thought was quite a few. And so then they talked about how they had planned a family trip with Chad's children, the ones that were here. And yeah, all of his children to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm around Thanksgiving time.
Did they ever mention taking Lori's children with them on
No.
that trip?
No,
And they shared with you their wedding photos?
yes.
Did you learn when they had gotten married?
We was informed, well, probably a week before that they had got married on the 5th of November.
In those wedding photos they shared with you, did you ever see a teenage girl?
No,
Ever see a minor boy?
nope,
Did you see Alex Cox in those pictures?
no,
Have you met Melanie Gibb before?
yes,
Did you see her in those pictures?
no.
Who was in the pictures?
Just Chad and Lori.
Did you ever have occasion to talk with Chad about how his kids felt about Lori?
Yes, when we would see him, he would already kind of bring it up himself that they were fine with Lori, that Tammy had appeared to him in spirit, I don't know, at least twice, and said that she was doing fine and that she understood the plan, that she was going to move on in the spirit world, and then that Chad's mission was to be married to Lori, and that his children were basically becoming fine with that thing, which seemed odd to us, but
And he specifically indicated Tammy had come to him in a vision or something,
yes,
and she'd indicated she was fine with everything.
yes.
After that visit around Thanksgiving, did Chad ever, or I think it was a little before Thanksgiving, did Chad ever return to your residence at a later time?
I can't say for sure, but it seems like it. There was about 3 different times.
And I think you said that your understanding was Chad and Lori's plan was to eventually move to Hawaii permanently.
Yes.
Did some additional visits happen before they moved?
Not that I can recall. The last time we seen him was before Thanksgiving.
And after they'd moved, at some point, did Chad end up coming to your residence?
Yes, he came to our residence after Lori was brought back to Rexburg and after he got back into the area.
And do you recall why Chad came to your residence?
Yes, I remember that when he walked in the door, he says that the Christ had sent me here to ask you guys if you would be willing to put your home up for bond to get Tammy out of jail. Not Tammy, excuse me, Lori out of jail.
Did you end up agreeing to do that?
No. There's a lot more things that had to be figured out before that's gonna happen.
And do you recall being present for a conversation regarding the statement Chad had previously made about Lori's daughter?
Yes.
And what do you recall hearing Chad say?
I remember him saying that she didn't really like him too much. And that so she would kind of stay away from him. She was like a typical college student.
And have you been to the Daybell residence before?
Yes,
Are there stairs somewhere in the residence?
there is one set that lead up to a room in the back part of the home.
I have no further questions.
All right. That'll conclude the direct. We can go ahead. Let's go ahead and begin with cross. I think, Mr. Pryor, where we're at. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Judge.
Afternoon.
So the last question the prosecutor asked you is about a part of the house that has stairs.
Yes,
You're familiar with the Daybell house, correct?
yes,
The brick part of the house is a one-story building. Is that fair?
correct.
And then on the back is an attached building that has some stairs, it's almost like an attached garage. Would that be fair?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the evidence. Counsel's testifying. Move to strike.
How would you describe that attached building?
The mechanical room in the bottom, storage room in the bottom, and then just a room up above it.
And to your knowledge, did anybody ever use that for sleeping quarters?
I believe Garth might have once in a while.
It wasn't used for anything else but storage. Would that be fair?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the testimony. Move to strike.
Sustained.
Garth may have used it once. Is that correct? Or a couple of times?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the testimony. Move to strike.
Sustained.
The attached building that you're talking about, who used the building?
It looked like the whole family used the building to me. They had a ham radio up there,
Okay.
set of drums.
To your knowledge, was there ever a bedroom set up there?
There was a bed.
Okay. Was there ever a desk or any office furniture,
Not that I'd seen.
computer?
Nope.
No kind of organized office up there?
No.
Okay. And do you know whether or not there was utilities available to that room up there?
I do not believe there was heat up there, so I don't think so other than power.
Okay, all right. Now, you mentioned the name Melanie Gibb a couple of times. You recognized her through some sort of a podcast, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, is that something that occasionally you would listen to one of her podcasts?
Yes.
And is she someone who is involved in anything, any organization attached to the LDS faith?
No, not that I'm aware of.
She does something, are you familiar with the term preparing the people?
Yes.
And then she's involved in that organization.
To my knowledge, not really.
How do you, other than the podcast, how do you know Melanie Gibb?
When they had the Preparing a People conference up here in Caldwell, Idaho, over here, that in February 2019, we went over there and Chad introduced me to her.
Okay. Did you know Melanie Gibb from any other occasion?
I'd never met her. I just heard her.
And she spoke at that conference?
Yes, I believe so.
And on the subject of speaking at conferences, were you aware of Chad ever making statements at any of his conferences about Tammy's health or whether he has any predictions about her demise?
No, I never did hear him publicly say that in any of the conferences.
Okay. And did you have an occasion to attend these conferences somewhat regularly?
We attended 3 of them.
Okay. And the term avow came across as part of my research. Do you know what the term avow is?
Yes, it stands for It's a website, but I can't remember what Val stands for now.
Okay. Is it linked to this Preparing the People stuff?
No,
It has a,
it is a preparation website.
it is not, or it is?
It is.
It's a preparation website. And when we're talking about preparation, that's not necessarily anything that's inconsistent with the LDS faith, correct?
No,
I mean, there's no limitation through your faith saying you can't participate in this preparation stuff, right?
no,
And Chad was an active member in the LDS faith uh, uh, throughout the time you've known him, correct?
yes,
Okay. And the writing of these fiction books doesn't necessarily preclude him from being a part of his LDS faith. Is that fair?
no,
Okay. And he is entitled to his opinion as to how he would express what he believes versus what maybe someone else in the LDS faith would believe, correct?
correct.
Okay. You made mention of meeting at the temple and meeting Lori Vallow.
Yes.
I don't know the limitations of your faith, so that's why I'm asking this question. When you go to the temple, is there a limitation as to who's allowed to go to this temple?
Well, yes, you have to be basically an active member and have a temple recommend to get in the temple.
Okay, so what's a temple recommend?
That's where you go see your bishop, which is over the ward, and he asks you a set of questions to see if you're basically living the gospel.
Okay, so when you went to the temple, who you saw Lori Vallow there? Who else was there?
There was Melanie Boudreau, and I can't recall the other lady.
Okay. Now, are you aware if it was Lori Vallow who told Chad Daybell Tylee didn't like him?
No. It seemed like that's just what Chad said.
Okay. And you mentioned that Chad is a soft-spoken person.
Yes.
He's not a dynamic personality, is he?
No.
Somewhat shy,
It looks that way. Yeah.
reserved.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned that the family was planning a trip to Knott's Berry Farm or I'm sorry, first you said Disneyland and Knott's Berry.
Heard both.
And this was in the second week of November, correct?
Right.
That's when you met with Chad?
That's when they come over the second time to,
Okay, so it wasn't a secret that they were planning on going on a vacation with the family to Knott's Berry Farm. That wasn't any kind of a
I
secret,
don't
right?
believe so.
Okay, the common knowledge.
Yeah.
And that had been planned. You said the second week of November. Could we be more specific about the time or date, or you just don't remember?
I don't recall. I would say it was about a week after they got married.
Okay.
Him and Lori, that is.
So would it be fair to say that by the second week of November, there were already plans in place to go on this family vacation?
Well, I would think they probably had plans then.
Right.
Yes,
And when we say the second week of November, are we talking like the 14th of November?
possibly.
Okay. And Judge, if I could just have a minute. Thank you, Your Honor. Oh, yeah. So when you spoke to Chad about the circumstances surrounding Tammy's death, he mentioned to you that she had a coughing spell that night, right?
Correct.
And he mentioned to you that she had been vomiting.
Yes.
Did he say what she had may have eaten that was causing her to vomit that night?
No.
Okay. And then there was some discussion about some sort of an embolism, or there was something with her head that went wrong. Is that fair?
He didn't say head, he just said embolism.
Okay. Okay. And then there was a discussion with Chad that when they discovered Tammy in the morning, that he called out to Garth. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And that's what he told you,
Yes,
right?
that's what he said.
And then he also told you that when he called out to Garth and Chad had to pick Tammy up off the floor and put her back into the bed. Is that what you were
That's the way I
saying?
understood it.
Okay. Okay, Judge, I don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
All right. Blake, if you'd like to redirect, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Gilbert, you were asked if preparing a people is attached to the LDS faith. Is that specifically attached to the LDS faith?
No.
And were some of the things Chad discussed beyond the standard LDS teachings?
You mean when he was speaking in it?
No, oh, sorry,
just-
let me back up. When he would talk with you, were some of the things that he shared beyond the standard LDS beliefs?
Yes.
You were asked about getting a temple recommend. If someone disclosed they were having an affair, would they qualify for a temple recommend?
No.
And you were asked about Garth and Chad picking Tammy back up and putting her in bed, and you recall them telling you that?
Yes.
You were also told that Tammy died around 2 a.m., correct?
Yes.
And you were told she rolled out of bed several
Yeah.
hours later?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
All right, then that will conclude the testimony of Mr. Gilbert. Is the state intending to recall him at any point?
No, Your Honor, Mr. Gilbert can be excused.
Be called in the defense?
I won't be calling him, Judge. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're released from any subpoena. Thank you for appearing to testify.
Okay, I have to say something here. We're finding out some info about Emma. Emma lied, and she did all the talking in that one interview. She said she's never heard of Lori. Never, ever. That's a lie.
Ms. Blake, would you prefer to start a new witness at this time or have a mid-afternoon recess?
Your Honor, we'll leave it to the court's discretion. We have a couple of additional witnesses. If the court wants to take an afternoon break now, that's fine. I think we do have one witness that would be a little shorter as well if the court wants us to continue.
Let's take the recess at this time and we'll continue on after that. So it's about 10 after. Let's try to come back on at 2:30, please.
All right, please.
Well, of course, the break. It's only been an hour. Okay. Sorry, I'm eating. Emma lied. Emma lied. And she blamed Lori for everything. You guys remember that interview? She was the one doing the talking. The younger one, all she did was cry. None of them's ever heard of Lori, but no. Do you hear where they went on vacation? Anybody? Let me mute a minute. Yeah, Chad's kids and Chad and Lori as a family. Why didn't Emma talk about that in her interview after her dad was arrested? Emma, you're a liar. That's right, Grandma. Yep. I wonder if his kids are watching this.
I'm not surprised she lies. She lies about everything. She's just all on daddy's side.
Well, I mean, you got to watch what you put out there on the internet. It's forever. That's crazy. They did things as a family with Lori. And then go to your neighbors. Can you put your house up to get Lori out? You know, if she would have gotten out, okay, they'd be gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You would have never seen him again. How did he think he could get away with all this?
Insurance money, baby.
No. Who put this plan in motion? Who, how, where, when, what way, and yeah, all that.
I think he just is that much of, a God complex kind of guy.
That's weird. And people looked up to him. Why? He is not interesting. He talks in monotone. There's no excitement in his voice. That shit puts me to sleep. I don't get it.
Yeah, they chose his family and hers were just, disposable.
Crazy.
They're absolutely evil.
Do you guys remember when okay, Nala, you big beggar. When Chad came back from Hawaii, people were going to his house, right? He put a note on the thing. There is a baby here. Oh really? Yeah, there was a couple in your backyard too.
Yeah. Ew.
There is a baby here. Well, you know what? You get to hold your grandchild. You get to hug your kids.
Pretend everything's beautiful and lovely.
Him and Lori are kind of alike.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like two perfect storms hitting each other and making this evil.
This grinning that he's doing.
Oh, God, he's so sick. He's just a twisted, evil person. How can he call himself a man of God, living under God's rules, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then commit a crime against two children by way of, hideous means, Those were not pleasant ways to die. It was terrible.
You know what? When he decided somebody was dark, then they die.
Well, that's what I mean. He convinced himself that these were demonically possessed children, that their spirits were already gone, that these demons were living inside their bodies, that the kids were already gone and with God. So we need to kill this while the demon is within so that it cannot have a body anymore. And therefore, they will be doing the world a service.
He got that idea From his buddy Jason Mao, that zombie movie. That's where he got that from.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's his buddy, Jason Mao. There is no other.
Okay, but it's a movie. It's a script. How do you take that and then make that into a plan
He's
for
a writer.
I know. How does Chad look at this knowing that it is a script and a something someone wrote and decide that that is now gospel and that totally believable and that this is how you have to look at your children now and dispose of them because they are zombies like this guy wrote in his book. And since Chad's books are all perfect and derived from God, then obviously.
What are you doing there, sweet girl, Nana? Sorry. What are you doing there, sweet girl? She's up on her with her paws up in the air, looking at me, begging.
Sitting
because I was eating a peanut butter cup.
Well, she's.
She knows we can have the peanut butter though.
No.
Yes, you can. You can have peanut butter.
Ooh, thunder.
Ooh.
Did you hear it?
Otis. No, I heard Otis. Oops. Peanut butter.
Yeah, I'm going to have to mute if it keeps doing that because he will start barking.
Tylee had already picked up. They're all the wrong ones.
Narla. It's Nala. Nala.
Narla. Who's Narla? Nala.
You're Narla.
Sweet little girl Nala. That's right. You are. Yes, you sweet little girl. Can you imagine me with a baby? This is how I am with a dog. Come on, sweet girl. Come on. Okay. So what are they taking, a half an hour? What a waste of time.
I think they're just doing like a 20-minute break or something, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they just got off of lunch break and they had their morning break and then they had an issue, I guess, with the teleprompter. And there's that.
So there's that. So there's that.
I don't know.
Yeah, so there's that. And we have hot thunder here. So there's that.
I mean, you think
And
they'd
Otis
have
is
it
under
all
my
together
bed.
by now? You think they'd have it all together by now?
I
Check
think
that
the judge.
prompter out before you start court.
I think the judge really had to go pee. He's like, no, we'll take that break now.
Yeah, I think he wanted the break.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yep. Nala, where are you?
Put her on the camera. We'll see Nala.
She's somewhere in here. That's why I have that little bell on her.
Put a kitty bell on her.
So I don't lose her. Judge seems to be getting really pissed off. Yeah. He was, I don't know.
He's being a defense lawyer, being a dirty shyster.
Well, you know what? I give him credit. He's doing it by himself. But he ain't getting nowhere. You know what? He's trying for a mistrial.
Well,
What is it with all the buffering for?
I don't know. I was going to ask you if that was StreamYard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, sure enough.
Let me look here. Let's see. No. Quality's fine. There we go.
You're still going to do it because it's StreamYard.
Look at this. Take that red line out of there. Get out of there. Red line. I hate that. For real. See, that red line drives me nuts. There we go. Look at me.
He's such an ass.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube kept censoring me. Let my texts go up if they didn't like it. Like I called Pryor a dickhead,
Oh,
and they wouldn't let it go up. And I was like, damn it. So I'd exit out and come back in. Yeah, it's gone. Jerk.
they won't let me use the middle finger.
Really?
Try it once. It won't go.
Let me try it.
You know how many times I tried to do it in my chat to you? And it won't let me.
To you. You are bad.
I've tried. Try it.
I just did.
Oh,
I
you
ain't
did.
doing it.
See?
Okay, just a minute. Let me try something else though. Let's see if they're this smart.
Oh my god. You're
Oh, my friend. There's a way around everything in there.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me put the middle finger in. Well, then.
Oh my god, that's funny. Oh my god, I just can't.
Yeah.
Take that, YouTube.
Censor me, will you?
Yeah.
I don't like that. Don't censor me. If I think someone is a dickhead, don't make me call them a Richard Cranium.
Richard Cranium.
Yeah, Richard Dick.
I know.
Cranium. Head. Dickhead, Richard Cranium. They wouldn't let me say dickhead, so hey, we'll do what we got to do here. No middle fingers, fine.
Okay. Never mind. I was gonna say something.
How'd your potato salad turn out?
I don't know. I'm not gonna eat it till tonight.
Yeah, but you made it without.
It's gotta sit there.
Well, I know.
You know what I mean? Usually
The onion has to sink in. The onion has to sink in.
It's gonna be good. It's
I
gotta
bought
be yes.
I bought a bunch of things to make some salads too. When we went to Mom's this Sunday, she had English cucumbers, the burpless ones.
Yep.
And she put little chunks of them in with some chunks of tomato and red onion. And she put like Japanese rice vinegar, but there's the one that's a sweet one, like real mild and real sweet. And you put that in there. Oh my God. I thought, oh yeah, that's going to be okay. And I'm going to go after 2 bites. No, it was really good.
Was it?
I mean, like I could eat a bowl of it. It's really good. So I bought some of that stuff so I can make one of those. And I want to make a potato salad too. So I bought my red potatoes today.
I'm going to make, after this is all gone, I'm going to make tuna cold salad.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
For sandwiches.
But I got to go buy eggs.
I wish you were close. I have so many. I just gave a dozen to my mom and a dozen to my neighbor, and I still have 2.5 dozen. Lots of eggs. But yeah, I like having cold salads in the fridge when it gets warm out because then I can just snack on them a little, I don't have to eat anything big. I can just snack.
I'm shocked that I've been up since 3:30 this morning. Usually I don't eat until the evening.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking on YouTube. Let's see what's going on around here.
What's on them streets?
There's nothing going on. I'm scrolling. of course, all the tragedy pimps are still picking on Sebastian Rogers' family because
Yeah, that needs to quit.
they'll never quit.
It's just.
Grandma, what are you doing tonight?
What am I doing tonight?
Yeah.
I am going to make a couple of hamburgers for dinner. I am going to, what am I going to do? Oh, I was going to vacuum and under my bed and whatnot, clean up my room.
Okay. I'm doing some picking up too. However, would you like to go live with me later on tonight?
Sure. What time do you want to do that?
I don't know. What time works for you?
I don't care. You tell me.
I don't know.
Like, you want to go at 6 your time and 7 my time?
Okay, let's
Or do you want to go later?
Can we do 7 my time, 8 your time?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to say out loud something special that we're going to do, you guys. And it has to do with Letitia. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I will have to do a notification.
And send me an email.
I will.
You will.
Come on. They're taking a half an hour. Are you kidding me?
Mark.
What did Mark
Oh,
say?
thunder.
What did Mark say?
Otis, you okay? Oh, honey.
Oh, okay.
Oh, honey, are you okay? Come here. You're safe, baby.
Oh, it's raining there, thundering, and
It's
lightning?
no rain yet, just real loud thunder, and it makes the floor is vibrating with it.
Can someone
Ooh.
tell me how Molly Golightly can have a channel when she's been banned?
On YouTube?
Yeah,
She has one on YouTube?
yeah, I'll show you. She's got like 3,000 subs already. Let me show you. Yeah, look at it.
He ends up in the fucking ketchup again. I'm like, what is this?
See?
So he go, Princess was not having it. He goes, we have to.
She's so ugly.
So we go up.
How can you have a channel when you've been banned from YouTube?
Laura was in there.
Who was?
Laura Perplex QT.
She's fighting with everybody. I don't think
It's the Tragedy Pimp channel. Yeah, I hate that.
she had almost 100,000 subs and she lost her channel. She done a lot of bad shit. It should have happened years ago.
What was her channel called? Go Harder?
I don't know.
That's what it said.
Okay,
Let me
then
look.
it's go harder.
Let me look at my thingamajig here.
She don't ever show her face though. I don't know how she has it. Because you got to know people are mass reporting her. For
Oh yeah, that's it.
I think this is like her third channel.
Yeah.
Been banned because nobody would watch her on Kick, I guess.
Yeah, she's live right now.
I know. Crazy, huh?
That's disgusting. Oh, she's so mute. I can't handle her voice.
I gave her a word of advice at one time because she lied to people about her mother, okay, at one point. And I told her, this is something you don't lie about when your parent has cancer. I said, you need to spend as much time with your mother as you can right now because it can be over like that. You know what happened the following week? Her mom died.
Good job, Kit.
No, I was telling her lying, telling lies like she is.
Yeah, she'll get her wish.
She should have been spending time with her mom and not telling these lies, saying that she's going to be with her mom when actually she's at a Comic-Con thing or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Comic-Con.
And then her mom died the following week. I couldn't believe it. I felt really bad. I did.
Well, you just warned her what she was doing.
Yeah, don't lie like that, man. You got a parent that's sick, don't lie. And you make it sound like you're going there because, she was at the end of her life. But you know what I mean, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to say the wrong kind of words.
Yeah.
I
You're
was
putting
just
that out there in the universe.
I just wanted to her know from experience, you know what I mean? You want to spend that time. And she was really close to her mom. She was live streaming to her mom's funeral. Live streaming.
What kind of person does that?
Molly did. Yep. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Can she have just one day without the internet? Her mom hated to be on her channel. She never wanted her to be seen. Yeah, she shouldn't have been lying like that. And I know
Gross.
she loved her mom, but she shouldn't have lied like that. And she got caught saying she's going to see her mom because she's really sick when she went elsewhere and her people paid for it because they thought she was going to her mom and she didn't. That's the sad part. And that's what happened a week later. They're taking a half an hour. Can you believe this?
Yeah.
I don't like wasting my time like this.
Yeah, it was her own doing.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. That's right. That's right. Should have called live. Good one. Oh my god. Streaming at the funeral home, not live. Oh my god.
Oh,
I see, okay, on YouTube, it caught me off guard. People actually put their videos up of their loved ones, their funerals and stuff. Okay.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, they actually do this. But it's people in different cultures, okay? And
All rise.
in
This records
different countries.
Cannon session.
And I would sit there and cry, and I don't even know these people. Oh my God.
All right, thank you. We do, the jurors lined up, I believe, so we'll go ahead and just have them brought in if we're ready.
My name is Chad. My name is Chad Daybell. My name is Chad. I'm a lawyer.
All right, please. Here's all present accounted for, Your Honor.
Grandma, mute your ass. I hear you texting away.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we're back on the record on CR 22-21-16623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. The jury's returned from the mid-afternoon recess is properly seated. The state just concluded with the witness, Mr. Gilbert. And so at this time, I believe the state's prepared to call another witness. Is that correct?
We are, Your Honor. The state would call Janice Olson.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yeah.
All right, thank you. Now that the witness has been sworn, I just need to inquire because of an exclusionary order in the case that doesn't allow for witnesses to view testimony. This trial's been live streamed and open to the public. Ms. Olson, have you observed any of the trial since it started?
No.
Okay, have you discussed with anyone else testimony they've given in the trial?
No.
Okay, thank you for your responses, Mr. Wixom. You may go ahead and inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, will you please state your full name and spell it for the record, please?
Janice Olson, JANICEOLSON.
Thank you. And where do you live?
Just a little out of St. Anthony,
And where is that relative to Salem, Idaho?
about 12, 15 miles away.
And what do you do for work?
I teach first grade.
How long have you taught first grade?
This will be my 30th year.
And have you always taught at the same school?
Yes.
Which school is that?
Central Elementary
And where is that school?
in Sugar City.
And I want to draw your attention back to October of 2019. Do you recall working with Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury at work, how often did you have interaction with Tammy?
All day. We're just kind of in and out of our classrooms, in the hall, the lunchroom, in our teacher's workroom.
So is it fair to say you saw her multiple times a day?
Yeah. Yes.
And you said the lunchroom. Did you ever have occasion to have lunch with her?
Yes.
How often do you think that would happen?
3, 4 times a week.
If you were to think about the working relationship you had with her, how would you describe that relationship?
She was a friend, good colleague.
And when you interacted with her at school, did you have any chance or opportunity to observe her activity or her work?
Yes.
What did you observe about her?
She was very organized, on top of things. She always went the extra mile to get books into kids' hands and to make sure we knew what was in the library. And
Did you ever, I'll withdraw that. Where is the library in the school?
down the hall, you walk in, you just go straight down the hall and to the left, just after the lunchroom.
How would Tammy go and get students and bring them to the library? What did she have to do?
She would actually stay in the library. Well, she'd come around and gather books during the week if you had library that day. But then when it was our library time, we'd take our class down, drop them off at the library, pick them back up after they were done.
Outside of school, did you ever, were you ever involved in any activities with Tammy?
Yes.
What activities were those?
She came to our high fit / Zumba class. couple times a week.
How often? Twice a week, you say?
Mhm.
How long is each class?
An hour.
Drawing again your attention back to October of 2019, I'm going to ask you just to speak of the last couple of months before that time. Was Tammy a regular attender of the class?
Yes.
And when you went to class, did you have the opportunity to observe her in class?
Yes.
And what did you observe her doing in the class typically?
Just following along, just like everybody else.
Did you ever notice whether or not she seemed to struggle in the class?
No,
Did she ever fall behind?
no,
Did she ever quit early?
no. Usually if she thought it was too hard, I mean, everybody does it. If they're out of wind for a second, they stop and march, or they just keep moving and then join back up.
Did she ever do that?
I don't recall if she did, but I'm sure we all do.
So just based on those observations, did you make any observations about Tammy's health or fitness level?
Yeah, she was active and healthy.
Did you eventually learn of Tammy's death?
Yes.
How did you learn of her death?
I had a student in my class whose mother worked with her in her church calling.
And how did you learn?
Oh, sorry. She called me that morning to tell me.
What was your reaction when you had learned of her death?
Shock.
Why shock?
Because I'd just seen her on Friday and she was fine and she was at exercise class that week.
When you say you had just seen her on Friday, which Friday are you talking about?
Well, the Friday at school, the day before, it was just Friday at school, and then it got called Saturday morning. So
are we talking about the Friday before she passed away on Saturday?
yes,
And you said you had seen her there?
yes,
Had you interacted with her that much that day?
I'm sure I did.
Did she ever mention anything that day to you about not feeling well?
No,
Did she ever mention anything about her health at all there?
no,
Did you notice her to have any kind of symptoms or appear to not be feeling well?
no,
Generally speaking, was Tammy the type of personality, did she ever complain about things?
no,
Do you recall her ever complaining about health matters at all?
no,
Again, focused on that last couple of months before she passed, did you ever observe whether or not Tammy had made any significant gains or decreases in weight?
I haven't. I didn't.
So is it fair to say she appeared to stay at the same weight?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
All right. Mr. Pryor, cross-examination.
Just briefly, Judge, thank you. So if I understand your testimony, Ms. Olson, is it true that the children were brought to Tammy for exercising their library time?
Yes.
So Tammy would not have to walk to the other end of the school to pick up the children and then walk them back every day, right? Correct?
Correct.
In other words, the children were as part of their hour, I guess I don't know how this would work, but as part of their library hour, the teacher's responsibility were to gather up their students, walk them to the library, and then at the return of their hour, the teacher would go back to the library, pick up the students and bring them back to their class. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Friday before Tammy passed away. As part of her duties as the librarian, that day was particularly busy that Friday because do you recall that she was trying to get all of the boxes and books together for the book fair?
Objection, counsel is testifying, Your Honor.
Abstain.
Do you have any recollection of Tammy preparing for a book fair that Friday?
No, I don't.
Okay, nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Redirect, Mr. Wixom.
Just a couple of questions, please. Ma'am, can you please explain for the jury, where was your classroom relative to the library in the school?
I'm right by the front doors, just as you come inside to the left.
So related to the library, where is that?
Well, I'm here and you would go down the hall around the lunchroom and she'd be just the first doors on the left.
Would it be fair to say that it'd be possible that Tammy could be walking around in the school and you wouldn't?
School.
Well, on those grounds, it's just for speculation, Mr. Wixom, so I'll sustain an objection there.
Did you ever see Tammy walking around in school at all?
All day, every day.
When would you see her walking? What would she be doing?
She'd be coming to gather up the books before we made it to library. For each class, she would be passing out books. If I had said I'm teaching about insects or something, she would gather up some really good insect books that she had in the library and bring them to our classes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wixom. Mr. Wixom, would there be any need to recall this witness?
There is not, Your Honor.
Will the defense call the witness? Okay, if you're here under subpoena, you're released from the subpoena. Thank you for appearing and testifying in trial.
Thank you.
You can be excused. You can call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state would call Taylor Ballard.
Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Ballard, you've been placed under oath. I just want to inquire before you testify. This case has been live streamed on the court's channel as well as open to the public to view the trial proceedings. Have you observed any of the trial testimony that's taken place since the trial started?
No, sir.
All right, and have you talked to anyone else about testimony they have given at trial?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for your responses. Mr. Wixom, if you'd like to inquire, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, will you please state and spell your full name for the record?
Taylor Ballard, TaylorBallard.
And where do you live?
Rexburg, Idaho.
What do you do for work?
I'm a health insurance broker at Ballard Insurance Group.
How long have you been an insurance broker?
14 years.
Is that something that requires a license from the state?
It is.
Can you just briefly explain to the jury the difference between an insurance broker and an agent?
An insurance agent represents one carrier, one health carrier or company, and an insurance broker represents several.
In your work, do you help people get medical insurance?
I do.
Is that something you've done for the entire 14 years?
Yes.
I now want to ask you, do you know Chad Daybell?
On a professional level.
When did you first become acquainted with him?
October 31st, 2019.
And how did you become acquainted with him?
He came into my office to inquire about an individual health policy for him and his children.
And were you able to help him with that?
Yes.
Did he explain why he needed the insurance?
I was already aware he had been referred to us. He was losing coverage that day from his deceased wife's policy through her employer plan, who we also administer.
So is it fair to say you weren't surprised by his inquiry?
Right.
And when you said he was inquiring about coverage for his children, did he tell you which children he was trying to cover?
Yes, it was Seth, Leah, and Mark.
At that point in time, did he make any inquiries about the possibilities of adding a spouse?
No.
And just very briefly, what, under most medical plans, what qualifications does a dependent have to meet to be able to be put on a parent or step parent's policy?
On the individual market, which is what we were talking about, they need to be under 26, unmarried, and claimed as a tax dependent on the joint return.
So can a step parent add a stepchild to their policy?
Yes.
And during that initial contact and that request about insurance information, what information did you need to gather from him to look at what policies you might be able to help with?
These particular policies that he was interested in are based on income to see if you can qualify for assistance. So we discussed income as well as demographic information for him and the children.
What information did he give you about income?
He stated that without his wife's income, now that she had passed away, his self-employment of a book publishing company would operate at a loss.
Did you do anything to verify that status of income?
At that time, it was just verbal.
Did you later request that he verify his income?
Yes.
And how did you request that verification come?
I went to Health and Welfare to apply him for the benefits, and their interface was showing that his self-employment was reporting at about 30,000 profit annually. So they stated we would need a copy of his tax return.
Did you eventually request a copy of the tax return?
Yes.
And we'll come back to that. So it sounds like it sounds like he initially told you he was operating at a loss, but you found out he was making $30,000 a year?
According to Health and Welfare's interface. Yes.
And a moment ago, you also said in that conversation that you were gathering demographic information about the children.
Mhm.
Can you, and when you do answer for the record, a yes or no, so the record will capture that. What demographic information were you gathering? What were you asking of him?
Children's names, birthdays, socials.
And so did he provide all that information with respect to the children he was trying to cover?
Yes.
After that particular meeting, when's the next time that you recall talking to him?
I texted him on November 5th, 2019, asking if he could provide a copy of his 2018 tax return.
Did he respond?
He did.
What did he say?
He responded that day saying he was out of town all week, but he would probably be able to stop by the following week.
Did he eventually produce the tax return?
Yes.
Okay. And then when's the next time you had contact with him?
November 21st, 2019.
And can you please explain the nature of that contact? Did you talk to him on the phone, text? Did he come in?
I reached out to him via text and then he came into my office.
And what was your purpose in texting him that day?
Based on the tax return that was provided, it was proven that his business did operate at a profit. And so therefore, he was eligible for different insurance than we had previously discussed. So we discussed what his options would look like for January 2020.
And in that conversation, what do you recall him mentioning at that point?
He had asked me if he were to get married, how hard it would be to add the new wife.
And if he said that as a hypothetical,
Yes,
so he didn't tell you that he had been married.
correct.
And what was your reaction to that?
I just told him that there's lots of variables and we could worry about that when we got to it if it happened.
In that conversation, did he ever later state that he had plans to marry?
When I responded with what I just told you, he said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll probably be married by the end of the year. So I'm just curious what the process looks like.
And both of these statements came on the 21st of November, correct?
Yes.
At that point in time, did the two of you discuss any other potential dependents?
No.
At that point in time, did you gather any additional information or submit any type of insurance application?
Not on the 21st, no.
During that conversation, at any point, did Chad ever mention to you the names JJ or Tylee?
No.
When's the next time you recall having interaction with him?
December 11th, 2019.
And what was that occasion? Explain that to the jury, please.
He just wanted to make sure he was square for January of 2020. And so we discussed, he picked his plan and he paid for it.
Okay. So he actually applied for the plan on that date on December 10th?
In between the 21st and the 11th is when I had been doing the back work. And on the 11th, he was calling to follow up.
Did you have any conversations with him during that time frame?
Mm-mm.
Okay. At that point in time, when he picked his plan, did he pay a premium for the plan?
Yeah.
At that point in time, did he bring up the name JJ or Tylee?
No,
Did he bring up the name Lori?
no,
When's the next time? Well, let me withdraw that. At any point in time after that, did you ever receive any mail at your office or Chad?
yes.
What did you receive, the best you can recall?
We received, I believe 2 of them were from Health and Welfare and 3 of them were from Select Health, which is the carrier that he chose. They were addressed to him, but they had our address on them.
Is that something that may typically happen in your business?
Never,
So clients never forwarded or used your address to have mail sent to it?
never.
Did that strike you as normal, cause any questions for you?
It definitely was not normal. We weren't sure why that was happening because all of the applications that we took and all of the online systems showed the address he had provided me.
So what do you recall as the next interaction with Chad?
March 11th, 2020.
Do you recall any interaction with him during December?
Only when he called to make his payment.
At any point in time after he made his payment for his insurance, had you learned anything about JJ or Tylee? Overall. May answer.
Yes.
What did you learn about them and when?
December 23rd of 2019, I was in Health and Welfare doing other business and it got brought up to me as if I was asked if I had heard about it yet.
Just generally speaking, what had you learned about JJ and Tylee?
That Chad had remarried someone who had 2 children and they were missing.
Did that cause you any concern at that point?
Yes.
What was the concern?
Well, I was just confused. I didn't know what to think of it because when they first mentioned that children were missing, I wondered if it was the children that I had helped him insure. And then it also made me question his deceased wife's.
In what way did you question that?
Can you ask me that again?
In what way did it make you question his deceased wife?
I was just curious of the timing. It just seemed fast.
Let me ask this. Did your office handle any insurance for Tammy before she passed?
Yes.
What insurance policies did your office handle for Tammy?
Health, life, disability.
So did you at any point in that time period look at any of Tammy's insurance policies?
Yes.
What did you look at?
I checked to see what her life insurance amount was, and it had been paid out yet.
And what did you find?
That it had been paid out and that her most recent open enrollment, which was in August for September 1st effective date, that she had upped it to the max.
And is it normal for an insurance broker to look at those types of things?
Yes.
Why?
To make sure the beneficiaries are correct, to make sure that we have the right amounts on there since it has to do with their income, what they qualify for.
And then I believe you were starting to try to explain, you did have a contact with Chad on the, was it the 1st of March, or when was the next contact?
March 11th.
Thank you. Can you please describe to the jury what was the nature of that contact?
He had come into my office to inquire about getting health insurance for his wife.
At that point, did he tell you who his wife was?
Yes.
Who did he say?
He said her name was Lori Daybell, and he wrote her name on a sticky note, Lori Ryan Daybell.
Did he happen to mention to you when he had married her?
He said November 5th, 2019.
What was your reaction to his inquiry about adding his wife at that point?
Well, he had stated to me that he had stated to me that she was incarcerated, and so I told him she wouldn't necessarily need insurance right now, but he was worried about something happening to her. And I told him she would be covered under the state as long as she was incarcerated.
Did you have any further discussion about how to potentially insure her if she were to no longer be incarcerated?
Yes, when he told me the date of marriage, I told him that that was outside of the enrollment window. It had been longer than 60 days. He said that she should be getting out the following week, and I told him that we could use that as a qualifying event.
So was a plan made then at that point to do so if she became unincarcerated?
Yes.
Just the general nature of that conversation, was there anything unusual about that conversation?
He No. No.
At any point in that conversation, did he ever bring up anything about his computer?
I was going through all of the information, confirming what was different and what was the same. And when we got to the income, he said, they confiscated my computer, so I haven't been able to pay myself yet.
And what was your reaction to that?
I said, they.
Okay. And did he explain who he's talking about?
He said, the FBI.
Did he say anything else to you about the situation in that conversation?
About the confiscation?
Just his personal situation generally.
Just that he was wanting to make sure that he, his wife, and his son, Mark, would be covered.
And in that conversation, did you ask him any follow-up about adding dependents?
I did.
What did you ask him?
Back then, the application states, is there anyone else in your household, whether they need coverage or not? Is there anyone on your tax return, whether they need coverage or not? And so I just went through those normal questions.
And in that line of questioning with him, did he ever mention JJ or Tylee?
No.
Why did you go through the line of questions with him specifically? What was your reason?
That's what I would do with anybody. It's the questions that are on the application.
Having learned about JJ and Tylee's missing status, did that cause you any concern when you were processing this paperwork for Mr. Daybell at that point?
Yes.
What was the concern?
Just, I mean, it was all over the news that they were missing, and him saying that just validated that they were.
What about concerns relative to the insurance policy?
It made me think we may have a fraudulent life payout.
Explain that, please.
I was worried that Tammy's death may have not been an accident, and that the life premiums may have been paid out when they shouldn't have been.
You said premiums, the life premiums?
Sorry, the life insurance money.
Now, relative to the health or medical insurance he was seeking at that time, did his lack of bringing anything up about JJ and Tylee cause concerns about that health insurance coverage?
Yes.
What was that concern?
To me, it seemed like they weren't going to need any insurance. All that he was asking about was him, Lori, and Mark.
What happened next?
Back then, everything used to take overnight to update. And so we parted ways that day, and I told him that I would reach out when the premium rates were ready the next day.
And did you do that?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Text message.
Did he respond?
Yes.
How did he respond?
Text message.
Okay. Did you at some point talk to him again?
Yes.
What was the next conversation and when?
March 16th, he reached out to me. He had gotten some notices saying that his wife Lori's identity was not verifying. They were notices from the health and welfare saying we can't verify her information. Can you provide us with more?
Did he provide anything to you?
Yes.
What did he provide?
Their marriage certificate and her driver's license.
What happened next in terms of contact with Chad?
Between, let's see, that was March 16th. We talked again on March 18th, letting him know it was resolved.
Any further contact with him?
A few days later, he reached out about another notice that he received. I let him know that it was taken care of, and I think that was March 26th, and that was the last time I talked to him.
March 26th was a little conversation. about his status or his dependents?
No. Not about the dependents.
What, did anything come up in the conversation at all?
I mean, yes, we small talked. He mentioned I told him to let me know if anything changed income wise or otherwise. And he said, I think it's going to be a pretty tight year. I don't see anything changing.
At any point, did you ever send any follow-up text to him about his dependents?
Yes. She got the kick. She'll pop right back in. How dare they do that to you, Kit? You got the boot, baby. Come on back in. I thought I got kicked out for a second too because we're having such a bad storm right now. But I'm back. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, I think this is some really damaging stuff. This insurance agent, this is pretty great. Our broker. Won't let you sign into StreamYard. What? She did get the boot. She got the boot. No, because she wouldn't be able to do the YouTube if she lost her internet. So she's back. Unless you're right, though. If StreamYard lost their internet in her area, but I have mine, so. Do you need me to send you the link? That's crazy. She's on her way. She's coming back.
Who?
Kit got kicked out, man.
On what?
Off of StreamYard. She's coming. Yeah, the insurance lady knew right away. She's like, this is weird. Why are you doing this? Why this way? See, this all looks really, really lovely. And of course, you know, the prosecutor guy, he's like, oh, okay, what about this and this? Okay, no more questions, because he's going to bring them back and try to impeach them as a witness. Yeah, they're still live, I'm sure. She's not typing in our YouTube anymore. I'm assuming she's on her way and she's having trouble getting in. Gotta love StreamYard some days, huh? You pay for that stuff and that's how it behaves for you. You get crappy service. Here's a rhetorical question for you. Pryor's going to call her back, I'm sure. And try to impeach her as a witness. Has to do with your internet? And you can't get on StreamYard? No, how can you be on YouTube then? Unless you're just on data. Are you sure, Kit? That sucks, man. All right, sweetie. Oh, they're finishing for the day in court, Amanda, right? Okay. All right, then. I guess I'm going to go. You guys have a good one. Thank you for coming in today. And remember to give Kit a like on the way out. Appreciate everybody. And we'll probably see you, well, for sure on Friday. So we'll see you guys later. Bye.